Hey y'all, how's it going? It is today is Sunday, and I said I probably wasn't gonna do a stream, but had an idea, was looking at my anime list of favorites, and thought to myself, maybe it's time to update it. And I thought, well, maybe if I'm doing that, might as well make it content. And also, I do want to what's the word? I do want to I do want to thinking for a second. I do want to start development of my next Mario Maker level. That is Sunburn Sanctuary. And I was trying to figure out a time to do it in the near future, and I was feeling like reasonably good to do it today. I usually don't like to do things on Sunday, but if I'm not sleeping until 3, might as well do a little stream if I have the time and I feel like it. I have the time and I feel like it, so basically that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do this, updating my anime list of top 25, and then I'm gonna start working on Sunburn Sanctuary. I don't know like how long I expect to be working on updating this list, but probably like a maybe like a half hour tops. So let's get into it. That's all. There's no preamble today. Didn't prepare any cards. I figured we'd just stay focused on the tasks at hand. I did see the Mario movie yesterday, and I'll talk about that. Turn on this light over here. Get some light on me. I did see the Mario movie yesterday. Not gonna talk about it today, other than this. I'll say it was a very, very well researched movie. Like, of the video game movies I've seen, it's probably like the most. They got the most details in there, the most Easter eggs, the most little like factoids from the game, the most little like references and nods, and it was all executed very well. I don't know that I'd say like obviously the Sonic movies are a lot less faithful, a lot less one-to-one from the games, but I might say that the Sonic movies are overall better than the Mario movie. But as far as like nailing the video game, nailing the source material, Mario might be unparalleled in that respect. And also, I'll say this: when they make a Wario movie, oh my god, everyone's gonna love that. Wario is gonna be like 10 times as popular as Mario as soon as they make a movie about him, because he is such a character, he is such a cad. That's gonna be really good. Anyway, let's just get into this. I'm going to basically, here on anilist.com, which is the website I use to track anime, there is a grid here that's just a top 25 anime. And to me, and you can sort of reorder it and make it so that your grid is in whatever order you please, right? And the way I look at it is that basically I feel like each level here is like a different tier. And while I might not focus too much on like which one is left or right, which one is over here versus which one is over here, I think that they should be a significant difference between like this tier and this tier, okay, and like the tier below and the tier above, etc., etc. So let's look at these, and I'll just rattle them off as is. Currently, the top tier is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Laid Back Camp, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable, Haikyuu, specifically the second season, and Shirobako I have in the top tier. Below that, K-On!, My Hero Academia Season 2, that's still the right one, Rascal Does Not Dream, New Game, and Sound Euphonium. The tier below that, Suradira Children, Komi Can't Communicate, Kaguya-sama, Love is War, Erased, Mob Psycho 100. Below that, The Demon Girl Next Door, A Place Further Than the Universe, Beaufry, Princess Connect Redive, Hitoribochi. It translates to like Hitoribochi's Lonely Life. And below that is Higurashi When They Cry Go. That's the first season of that remake. Asteroid in Love, Mitsubishi Colors, Waiting in the Summer, and Your Name. Now, I will say of this top 25, it's not strictly just a top 25. I also want it to be representative. You know, like, I will elevate where I feel necessary. A series that is not necessarily, like, better than the other things in here if it represents me somewhat. You know, represents my interest, right? Like, I don't know that I would necessarily... I actually struggled with putting Your Name here originally, even though I loved it, just because there's so many other shows that could get the pick, but I do want there to be at least one movie here, one original movie, so that one makes sense. There's also other holes here that I think we can address, and also things that need updating. First, let's go ahead and open up the reorder thing. And by the way, you can see, if you scroll down, there's technically an order to the rest of the anime as I've marked favorites over the last couple of years. I will say, though, I am not concerning myself with the order of anything beyond 25. Everything else just doesn't need to be ordered, so you see this Your Name? That's the boundary. Your Name is the boundary. Below that is nothing. So let's start by... I'll tell you, I want to do a little bit of... Let's start by making some space. So the first tier here, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, that one is unimpeachable, I think. That one might be that one's just a goddamn masterpiece, and I think easily a good fit for the top anime of all time for me. Laid Back Camp, I also think is unimpeachable, especially considering Season 2 and the movie. Those three are just phenomenally good. If you're looking for comfy, cozy type stuff, and like beautiful mountains, beautiful food, and just chill vibes, you cannot do better than Laid Back Camp, so that's not moving. Part 4 of JoJo is just my absolute all-time favorite part. The only part I have rewatched, and I think it is just perfectly paced, wonderful stands, and I just love how the final fight at the end is just between, like, two dudes. You know, not like a whole immortal god thing or something weird. No, it's just a very grounded fight between a couple of stand users. And I think that's really fun. And of course, you know, it ends in a really cool way as well. Haikyuu is just the best sports anime. I think that is also unimpeachable on the top tier. And Shirobako is just a really good it's probably the best workplace anime. And it's about making anime, so that's just very interesting as a topic. And also, it's just got a very wide, large ensemble cast, which each, you know, of various characters in various roles in the anime industry that are all... They're all, like, really, really good. That's a weird way to put it. That all... And having each one of them sort of brings more perspective as to what all goes into the creation of one anime. You know, you get to appreciate the keyframers, the in-between people, just the sheer basic drama of... And also, like, they get a lot of drama out of the anime process, which turns out is difficult as hell. You know, you kind of wonder... Oh, by the way, let me scroll a little bit. So, Full Metal Alchemist is at the left side. I was talking about that earlier. You can see it now. There's a point where the drama is that they need to find someone who can draw a horse, because they don't know anyone who can draw a horse. So they're just looking around looking for people who can draw a horse, and that's drama, and that's interesting. And when they do it, it feels good. Here below that, you got K-On!, one of the best music slice of life type things out there. And when I rewatched it, I was so happy. You know, it's just good, chill, fun. I think it gotta be in this tier. My Hero Academia, I will say, in recent years, it's fallen a bit in my opinion. You know, it's been a little bit chill, but these last 2 seasons have been incredible. Have been really good, I think. Though they have been a little weird on the slight on the slice of life stuff. But goddamn, there's been some good payoff recently. I don't want to move MHA from the second set of 5. Rascal is just wonderful. I like Rascal there. I like a New Game there. Probably the second best workplace anime, which is about a girl who joins the game development industry, and it's very cute and light and you know, interesting as well. It's a good setting. You know, a development studio. I don't know why they don't do more of those. Why that is so rare. And finally on this tier, you got Sound Euphonium, which is another one of the best music animes. Though while K-On! Is very chill and very like yeah, we're just hanging out, having a good time. Sound Euphonium, you can almost view it as like a sports anime, you know, in that like, oh yeah, they're training for competition, and it's very serious, and it all works, and it has good drama and cute characters, and you know, a very good lead pair that they sort of reel back a little bit. In the first season, it's very gay between the 2 lead characters, and then apparently, I think in seasons 2 and on, the original creator said, "Hey, they're supposed to be straight. Straighten them up." And they sort of almost retconned a little bit and just shoehorned in some other love interest for them, which kind of sucked, but it's still really good. Of this tier, I could see most Sound Euphonium dropping, I guess. Though it pains me to do it. It does pain me to do it a little bit. But at the same time, of the next tier here, yeah, Suradura Children, just a really good short anime, basically 2.5-minute skits of like a romantic nature, and it just sort of cuts to the best part of any rom-com between these various characters, and it's very cute and well executed, and just some of the best scenes in a rom-com all concentrated into a short anime. That one's great. Maybe it could be a little lower, honestly. Komi Can't Communicate, really loved the first season of that. Didn't like the second season half as much. Didn't make my top 10 of last year. That's the year it came out, right? Didn't make my top 10 of last year. Meanwhile, Kaguya-sama Love is War, the third season of that was phenomenal, and the movie that just came out this year in theaters, and now it's on Crunchyroll as well, also phenomenal. My main thought here on this tier is Kaguya-sama has to move up to the next tier. So we gotta do something to accommodate that. Erased is a really fun thriller anime where a guy travels back in time to when he was 10 to solve a serial killer, and to catch a serial killer and stop a bunch of serial killings that happened when he was 10. And it's just really fun and cool, and it's a fun idea to travel back in time and like redo your youth, and it makes it into a fun murder mystery, the fact that he has to, you know, he's doing it for such a serious reason. Mob Psycho 100, just a very funny series, just very funny, just very well put together. Though, I did rewatch Mob Psycho last year, and I found that the first season does take a while to figure out what it is. You know, not really a gag anime about a unassuming guy who is overpowered as hell, but instead something with a lot more heart and a lot more to it, right? Like when you first meet Reagan, he's just a joke character, but by the end of the season, they figure out like, oh, Reagan can be likable. You could love Reagan, and I think that's great. But I also didn't love the third season all that much. The final season, that one, I'm not sure if I even marked it as a favorite. I mean, I could scroll down and see if it's here in the list. I don't think it would be. There's Kaguya-sama. There's some other things that join my favorites. Yeah, I don't think it is. Here's what I think. I think of this tier. Sad to say it, but I think that Mob Psycho's moving off the top 25. I think it's gonna give up its slot to something, and I think that something, you know, the first something would be Bocchi the Rock. Bocchi the Rock needs a slot. Mob Psycho move off, and Bocchi come in. On the tier below that. We're on the tier below that now, right? Yes, okay. We have Demon Girl Next Door, which is about a demon girl who is very, very pathetic, and her best friend, the magical girl, who she vows to defeat one day. And it's a very, very, very cute show with some very good, like, comic timing, like perfect comic timing. And then season 2 of that was last year, and it did execute on that really well. I will say season 2 didn't quite make my top 10 of last year. So, despite being like as good as the first season, last year was just a really competitive year. So, I'm not sure if it still holds its place. I guess also Komi should also drop down a couple tiers as well. But it's definitely mixed. I definitely want it on the top 25 if possible. This is A Place Further Than the Universe. It's like a slice of life adventure anime where a bunch of girls are trying to go to Antarctica for reasons, and it's a very aspirational anime in addition to being very, very, very cute. And it has a lot of good drama that is very well executed. And very, very likable characters and a good style. I think it makes sense for this list. Bofuri is a wonderful... is a VR MMO anime where it's very, very, very lighthearted and a little bit wacky. The main character, she puts all her points into defense, which allows her to just no-sell anything that comes at her. And also, she gets a bunch of increasingly bizarre abilities. The only thing holding it back right now is that Season 2 has been airing, and honestly, it's been a little mid. I'm not even sure that Season 2 is going to get an S. Is going to get into the ranks of the favorites, which, you know, hurts its chances of maintaining this placement. Princess Connect Redive. Really good, like, isekai type show. With just the widest cast of characters imaginable. Like, they introduced so many cute girls. Was based or has based on it, I'm not sure the order, a gacha game, which explains like why there are so many girls, but each of them is like extremely likable and has like a distinct personality and good character design, and you know, it's really great in both seasons. And they're really amazing at how fast they're able to like introduce a character, get you to like them, and then have like 20 minutes of fun with them before it's on to the next episode and there's a new character to meet. And maybe a bunch of new characters even in some cases. And in Season 2 especially, they blew the barn doors off as far as like glorious animation is concerned. I think it's got to be up here on the list. And I think this plot is really good for it. Hitori Bochi is about a girl who, it's sort of similar to Komi Can't Communicate, which I guess I kind of breezed over earlier. Komi Can't Communicate is about a girl who is really, really pretty and popular, but she really just can't communicate, so, and so she wants to make 100 friends. And she goes, and the high school they go to turns out to be full of the weirdest, most distinct oddballs imaginable, so, you know, every character they introduce is impressive, is like a weirdo in like a exciting new way, and that ends up being rife for comedy. As it goes on, it tends to focus more on like the rom-com part of it between Komi and her first friend, Tadano, right? I think his name is Tadano. And that ends up being very nice and cool and good, but, you know, I would really like it to focus more on just introduce more outrageous characters and keep the pace up. But also I hear that the manga is like one of the longest mangas out there, so, you know, they are definitely like, taking their time to get to 100, I guess, and there's probably like multiple more seasons in here. It just like as far as the source material goes, which hey, you know, it won't have to slow down its pace in order to like not overtake the manga at any point, but still would like more of a focus on the friends, I guess. But yeah, Hitori Bochi is kind of similar. It's a girl who is like socially awkward, and she is told she has to befriend everyone in her class to become friends with her childhood friend again. And it's very cute. She has a lot of schemes, and all the characters that she befriends are really good as well. That's that tier. Of these, yeah, I think Bofuri could move down a bit. Honestly, this whole tier, except for maybe Princess Connect, I think Princess Connect is right where it needs to be in the middle. Maybe could move around. Below that is Higurashi When They Cry Go, Asteroid in Love, Mitsuboshi Colors, Waiting in the Summer, and Your Name. That's the bottom tier, I guess, of the top 25. Higurashi Go is a like horror series that delights in twists and suspense and like mystery. It's mostly mystery, actually. It's like a mystery thriller where it's set in this town in like 1980s Japan, and specifically in the summer. And what happens is, you know, there's a bunch of murders, and then time resets to the start of the summer, and then the murders play out in a different fashion, and you have to figure out like why it's happening, etc., etc. I will say that the sequel season of this, Higurashi Sotsu, ends up mostly being just an answer key to this season, basically just retelling the events, but from the perspective of whoever did it, which, you know, is maybe not as interesting as you think, because they sort of reveal who does it at the end of this first season, so there's no mystery anymore other than like, oh, how did they do it? And you find out, and that's kind of a shame, but I still think it needs to be on the top 25, because I did really get into it. I read all the visual novels around the time this hit, and I really enjoyed the hell out of all of them. It needs to be on the top 25. Asteroid in Love is a really cute slice of life anime about a couple of girls in an astrology club that is also the geography club, or what's it called when the study of earth science, what's that called? Geology. It's a geology club as well. Just a really good combination, and each of the characters sort of brings a little bit of their interest to the table, and, you know, they end up, you know, getting into both things a little bit, which is very nice and cute. And also, you know, it's called Asteroid in Love, There's a little bit of Yuri in there. Just a little bit. I don't think they actually, like, pull the trigger or nothing. It's more of a hint than anything. Which I think is a nice thing. Mitsubishi Colors is a show about a bunch of miscreants. Like kindergarten age miscreants running around being little rascals. It's very fun and cute. There's a scene where they get like a toy rocket launcher and they point it at the cop in their city. There's a cop guy and they really hate him. They treat him with such spite and shit. It's very funny. They point the rocket launcher at him and they say, Saito, you become too corrupt. For the sake of the city, you must be destroyed. And that's a whole fucking funny scene out of that. A lot of really funny, good-ass scenes in there. I'd really like it if this one was still on the list. Waiting in the Summer is a very earnest, lighthearted drama about an alien who comes to Earth and lives with a high schooler, and they make a film together, and it's very cute, and there's a little bit of love. It's kind of a romance. It's very, very good. And Your Name, famous movie. What can I say about a guy and a girl? They swap bodies repeatedly, and eventually there's a whole thing that happens. I won't spoil, but it sticks the landing, and and it's like the best. I think it's the best example of like body swapping out there as far as like in anime. All right, that goes over the list as it stands. Let's talk. Okay, let's first. I'm gonna move Mob Psycho off the list. What else can be moved off the list? I want to make some room. Sorry, there are children. I could see. I don't think that. Okay, first I'm gonna start moving things around. I'm gonna move Kaguya up. I'm gonna move Kaguya up. The top 5, I think, is untouchable. These guys are gonna stay the same. The only thing I would say is, oh, by the way, I know that on anilist, different seasons are counted differently, but for this top 25, 1 season from every show is maximum. What else should change? Let's talk a little bit about shows I think should be pulled up. Bocchi the Rock, last year's anime of the year. That needs to be on here. And it needs to be reasonably high, too. Let's just go ahead and put that, like, right before Your Name. I was looking at this list, and I do think there should be something that's a little bit ecchi, and I think, that's a little bit fan servicey, because there are a couple of animes that I like, with a little bit of, like, raunchy material, and I think that representing that would be a perfectly good thing to do, and I think the most natural choice, in fact, I think it used to be on the list, would be Food Wars. I want to find room for Food Wars on here. So that's another thing to find room for. I guess I already moved down Demon Girl. Huh. Let me see. Is there anything else that I think should make the list? I was thinking quintuplets. I think quintuplets might be the best harem anime out there. And it could either be the quintuplets movie, which is like the finale, or maybe the second season as like the height of it. I'm gonna go with the movie because that's the big conclusion, sort of ends the romantic mystery. Quintuplets is a show about 5 identical quintuplets, and it frames the whole show as like, oh, the main dude is going to marry one of them at the end. That's not a spoiler. Literally, the first scene is the wedding. Or, like, there's a scene in the first episode that shows that, but since they're all identical, you can't tell which of the 5 sisters it is, and that all ends in the movie, and they reveal which one it is, which I thought they did extremely well. Yeah, I'm gonna put the movie up here I definitely want to find room for that. Is there anything else that, nothing from last year. Let me, real quick, go to my overview here, and I'm just gonna filter by statuses. And we're gonna find the top 25, the top 10 list for each year real fast. Bochi, Kaguya-sama, Laid Back, Dr. Stone special episode, Dress Up Darling, quintessential quintuplets. So yeah, so obviously nothing below here would make the top 25. So Spy X Family would be behind Licorice Recoil if it were to get onto the list. Dress Up Darling would be ahead of Spy X Family. I suppose Dress Up Darling would be another good one to represent, like horny in a little bit, you know, anything like especially lewd. But I think I'm gonna go with Food Wars. Food Wars is just a fantastic, probably the best cooking anime out there as well as being rather horny. It is also equal opportunity horny. It gets horny about the boys and the girls in a way that is mostly not gross. You know, it's fun horny in its deployment of the horny. And I think that's commendable, and also it's like one of the best. The way that it deals with food is really cool insofar as, like, you know, the main character is very much always trying to, like, figure out the best way to cook something and, like, the best way to approach the ingredients and get value out of them. I almost liken my Mario making in a way to being as the main character conceives of food. You know, like, the main character, he's always looking for the combinations that bring out the flavors and are just trying out different combinations and seeing what sticks. That's basically how I proceed in my Mario making and how I find the combinations. You know, I do a lot of brainstorming, a lot of, like, trial and error, and then when I find something that's good enough to work as a core of a level, I iterate on that and build around that, and, you know, it's not that different from Food Wars. I definitely think a lot about Food Wars when I am Mario making, in terms of, like, how I view my own Mario making activities. Year before that was Komi Can't Communicate. Super Cub was number 2. Slime Diaries, Girlfriend, Uma Musume, Pretty Derby, Laid Back Camp, Stone Ocean, the first part of it anyway. Quintuplets 2, I've been killing slime for 300 years and maxed out my level. I guess, you know, I'll say, like, Quintessential Quintuplets was on the lower end of multiple years here, but I think overall, if we're season by season, it's probably not the hottest thing, but if you combine them all and view them as a whole, I think that puts it on the list. And like I said, as far as, like, harem anime goes, like, the only other one that I think really hits that level would be Saikano, and Saikano has a really weak second season. So, you know, it's not gonna make the list. You know, the first season of Saikano, amazing. The second one kind of feels like you're wasting time, and then the movie brings it home and kills it. But, you know, as a result, Quintessential Quintuplets, which has 2 really good seasons and then a fantastic movie, I think that's more laudable and more list-worthy. Let me see now. I think this might be the extent of, like, yeah, so before this is the last top 10 that I had on anilist. Before this, there were years that I, you know, wasn't on anilist, so the lists are wherever the fuck they are, I don't know. Kaguya-sama was number 1, then Bofuri, Higurashi, Go, Asteroid in Love, and Haikyuu, Talentless Nana, Dodo, Princess Connect, Sleepy Demon, Princess and Demon Castle. Princess Connect isn't the highest one here, and it wasn't the highest in either year. It almost feels like a oh, I wanted to find space for it on the top 10. Maybe Princess Connect moves down to lowest tier. It makes room for something else. Let me think. Let's look over here and figure out if there's anything else here that catches my eye that I want to make room for on the list. Let's see. Yuri on Ice, that one is fantastic, but I feel like sports animes are already reasonably well represented by Haikyuu. I'm good on not including that. ReZero is really great, but I don't think it makes the list. Review Starlight's really fantastic, but nah. There's Seikano. I'll do quintuplets instead of Seikano. Dragon Maid. There's the Rascal movie. Kaguya-sama. Which Kaguya-sama is here, actually? Oh, this is Kaguya-sama... Wait, which one is this? Season 2? This is question mark. It's season 2. It's the second season, right? Yeah, so... Yeah, it's a prequel to... The sequel... Wait. The sequel is Ultra Romantic. I think let's put Ultra Romantic in there specifically. It doesn't really matter, but it's not season 2 that's the best season. The best season is season 3. Where is that? It's down here, isn't it? So let's just go ahead and pull that up. The movie is also... Why can't I scroll? Weird, I can't scroll while I'm selecting a thing. Don't know what's up with that. Just go ahead and put that here. I'm gonna put that ahead of My Hero Academia. It's just been more solid than My Hero Academia. Not that the left-right of each tier matters that much, but I think it should be the leftmost of the second tier. No, K-On! is left of it. Yeah, that's good. Anything else here? Uma Musume is pretty good, but I don't think it quite... I don't think I want to put it on the list. Let me see now. Encouragement of Climb is fun, but it's no laid-back camp. I really like Anna Yell. What's the slice of life that I have here and there? I have Mitsubishi Colors. I have Hitoribochi. I think... Here's what I want to do. I want to put Anna Yell up there. I want Anna Yell to be in here, and I'll drop one of the other slice of lives to make that happen. We'll do a trade there. Dress Up Darling is pretty good. I could see Dress Up Darling as like another very lewd, very raunchy anime. I could see it qualifying. I really liked Slow Loop, but it didn't make my top 10 last year, so that's, you know, that's not gonna be it. Anything from last year is pretty much, you know, below the stuff that already made the list, so no updates needed. I could see Dress Up Darling, though. I kind of like Dress Up Darling as, like, one more. If we were to make room for one more, it'd be Dress Up Darling. Kill la Kill is also one that was, like, had a very special place in my heart. It's one anime that I watched before I got way into anime, alongside, like, you know, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and a couple others, but I don't think it makes the list. Dragon Maid also doesn't make the list, even though it's really, really fucking good. If there were to be another anime from, like, the Adult Swim days, when I was watching anime on Adult Swim, you know, not counting FMA B, because that wasn't on Adult Swim. The original FMA was on Adult Swim. It would maybe be Samurai Champloo or FLCL, but I don't think I can make room for either one of them. I could see an argument for Assassination Classroom. Okay. I could see an argument for Assassination Classroom, or fitting in one of these these Adult Swim shows. I feel like Adult Swim is already perfectly fine represented by the remake to an Adult Swim show, FMAB. And it being the top slot is in a lot of ways because of the original show back in the day. So let's have this be the list, and I will try to find room for these 4 anime. And you can see that already. Let me just save order real fast and see how it is on the profile page. So already we have made 2 slots. So we just need to make 2 more, and then maybe if we can make another space, we could add, I could see Dress Up Darling making the lowest rung. Dress Up Darling is kind of different from a lot of these other animes in the list, so I think it would, there is a place for it, I think. Alright, what else moves out of here? I really loved Hitori Pochi, but I think I'd rather have other slice of lifes here than that one. Maybe if I rewatched it again, I would be more into it. I also think that Komi maybe moves down to the lowest tier, so that makes some more space in the tiers above, but it still is on the list because it was like my favorite anime a couple years ago. I think Bocchi has to be in the mid tiers. Has to be ahead of Higurashi. I think Bofuri, I think, moves down a bit. As I'm looking through these, I'm noticing I don't have anything in, like, a isekai. Are there any isekais on this list? Oh, 1 second, the switch turned off. I'm gonna turn it back on. Are there any isekais on this list? Let me see. An isekai. No, not in the first rung. Not in the second rung either. Third rung, no. Well, Princess Connect is sort of one. Adjacent, but not literally. So I'm not sure if that really counts. This one, this set, no. And this final set, no isekais. Except for Bofuri, which is a VR anime MMO game. So it's not really an isekai, but it's close. Are there any, what isekais are among my favorites? Here, let's just do a quick inventory. Look for any isekais here. Handyman Saito from this last season. I don't think it quite makes the list yet. Farming Life in Another World. Ooh, I could see Farming Life in Another World making the list eventually, but it's far too new for me to put it up there right now. I need to think about how I feel about that for at least a season before it were to make it up there, but it is probably the comfy coziest slice of life. You know, the closest to, like, laid back camp a slice of an isekai has ever gotten, because it's not really it's very like it's just Stardew Valley. It's just building a farm, and it's really cool. Building a farm, building a town, all that. Really nice. What else here is a slice of life? Is there anything here that I would promote? Looking through these, Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone was in my top 5. The special episode was, at least. But it's a little untraditional of an isekai. I don't know it would really represent. Executioner and Her Way of Life. I forget where that was in my top 10 of that year that it came out, which was that last year? I think that was last year. Not sure it ended up making the cut, but that one's extremely good. Isekai. Slime isekai. I don't really feel like putting Slime isekai up there. Don Machi. No, not that one. I wouldn't put that one on the list. Slime 300. Slime 300 is close, But no, I don't think so. What is my favorite isekai? I guess that's the question here. I don't have that I guess I don't have that much of a strong opinion about isekais. I guess Inuyasha is an isekai, but it's not my favorite one because it's, you know, it's older and rougher, and I guess ReZero might be my favorite isekai, actually. ReZero is a good one. Okay, yeah, I could... You know what I'll do? I'll put ReZero the first season. I'll put it right in the same ballpark as Dress Up Darling. If we can make room for Dress Up Darling, we'll try to make room for ReZero. That's the one. ReZero is an isekai where the guy, when he dies, he goes back in time a couple days and he can give it another try. And it sort of feels like a little bit like Majora's Mask or something, where he's trying to get the perfect run to get through. The second season sort of slows down the pace a little bit. The first season, you know, through like 24 episodes, gets through a lot of really cool arcs. The second season is just like one big arc over 24 episodes, which is kind of a shame, but what are you gonna do? Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Let's move stuff around. I think Suradura Children has to be on the list as the one short anime here in this upper echelon, but it doesn't have to be this high. I think putting it in the bottom tier, like the near the bottom tier, the second tier, would be good enough for it. Yeah, I think Hitori Bochi moves off the list. I think Komi moves down to here, to the bottom tier. Let's do the second tier for Komi, actually. I really like Asteroid in Love. Place Further is really good. I think Bofuri moves down a bit, considering the last season has been rather just okay. Oh, jeez, it hurts to take Bofuri off, but I think it's the right choice. Erased has to be on there. I like A Place Further on there. Here's the border, so if we can move 2 more off, we can have everything that we said that would be good. I think Waiting in the Summer moves down. I really like Waiting in the Summer on the list. I think that Mitsubishi Colors moves down. I really liked that one as well, but I did rewatch it last year, and I don't feel quite as strong about it, perhaps, as I do about some of the other ones. I think it took me a little longer to get through it because it wasn't quite as wonderful as I remembered. It's just fun. It's just good fun, and they're such little rascals. It's good. I think it's just short of the list, and if we're happy with this lineup, that can be the lineup. Is there anything that moves down, moves out, that trades for one of them for the others? I'm tempted to put Bofuri over A Place Further. No, let's keep it as is. Oh, it's so tempting. Maybe I can move something else out for Bochi. Or for Bofuri, sorry. Bochi's on there already. I'm tempted to move to take Dress Up Darling off. I could go either way with that, honestly. Let's start ordering. Okay, so top tier here, unchanged. Tier below that, Kaguya gets added. Kaguya added, and What got moved down? I think that was Sound UFO got moved down a tier. Yes, that is correct. Tier below, we now have Sound Euphonium erased. Place further. Let's move a place further down. Let's see. I think in this tier, let's put in Bochi. I think let's move Bochi into this tier. So Sound UFO erased, Bochi. What else is on the third tier? I really love Food Wars. Up to the last season, it's just an immaculate show and one of my favorites to rewatch all in full, despite its length. I think tier 3 makes sense for it, even though it just joined the list and was off the list previously. Of the rest, what's the last tier 3 show here? I spent a lot of time thinking about quintessential quintuplets after watching the last one of those, watching the movie. I think for the impact it had, I think quintuplets moves up to this tier. Right, the next tier, I think Higurashi makes sense. Asteroid in Love, that makes sense. That makes sense. Your Name, let's keep at the bottom of the last tier. And for the last slot here on the 4th tier, let's go with, let's see now. I like Anime Yell. It's one of the best slice of lifes out there, about a bunch of cheerleaders being cute and encourageable, and has some really good, funny little cute bits as well that are just like really, really lovable. One of the most lovable slice of lifes out there. Yeah, I think that looks good to me. Switch Princess Connect in it, as far as like left to right goes. Actually, put it above Komi. Yeah, that looks good. Komi, I think, would be above it, but like I said, the second season of Komi wasn't quite as hot. In fact, put it Suradura below Komi. Okay. Let me check how that's looking now. Okay, Suradura, the last one of the tier. Wait a minute. Did I miscount? Oh, Princess Connect is on the last tier. That's fine, I think. Move Asteroid down to the end. Down to the end of that row, and I think it'll look nice. Asteroid, where's that? Asteroid should be here. Okay, so that's the second to last tier, then the last tier. Put a place further there. ReZero here. ReZero is really close. Maybe I could see... I'm looking at Demon Girl Next Door. Of the two of these, if I were to make room for one, right now my gut is telling me, due to the quality of Demon Girl Next Door Season 2, it would eke in a little higher than both Furry, which does hurt a little bit. I would like it almost to be the other way, but... You know what? I think let's take Dress Up Darling off. We'll put in Demon Girl Next Door. I like... I could see Dress Up Darling... Dress Up Darling has a really lovable lead who is just like a Gyaru type girl. Really, really like assertive and fun, and she's into cosplay as her thing. She loves cosplay. She's a real otaku. I think she's a wonderful character, and Yeah, you know what? I'm happy with her being with, and also the main character in that is fun as well. He's just like a really like he makes clothes for dolls is what he does, and then she meets him and she realizes like, hey, could you make clothes for me instead? Like really good cosplay stuff, and turns out to be a really sweet and slightly raunchy relationship. I think that's commendable and worthy of a slot. ReZero I've rewatched probably like 2 or 3 times, so you know it'd be like Kill la Kill would also have a good spot argument for like its spot, as far as like, yeah, I like ReZero and Kill la Kill probably equally much, but it is also an isekai, and this list lacks an isekai, and I think that that argument holds water. I'd almost be willing to cut Your Name for Demon Girl Next Door, but I think I won't. I could see Asteroid in Love for Demon Girl. I've added some other slice of lives now, like in Anima Yell and in Anima Yell. So maybe Asteroid in Love switch out for the slightly more supernatural Demon Girl Next Door. No. I like the list as is. Let's lock it in. Feels bad to put Beaufrey and Demon Girl Next Door out off the list, but, you know, like I said, Demon Girls Next Door's Season 2 didn't make my top 10 last year. It was phenomenal, but it wasn't top 10 material, unfortunately. It was a very competitive year, and I think it makes sense to prioritize things that actually did make the top 10. And so too, Beaufrey is had a really light season. I don't know that it's gonna make the top 10 this year. It's definitely not, I'll say. But Demon Girl Next Door was an anime of the year, I think, or a runner-up. Like in one of the years that I don't have records for. Quite. Yeah, I think it was anime of the year for like 2019, the original season, for me. Okay, Asteroid in Love goes off. Demon Girl Next Door goes on. Above ReZero. Done. Okay. There it is, there's the list. That took, like, what, an hour? Like an hour. Okay. Well, hopefully it was a interesting hour. Let's just run through the list real fast, and like I said, let's just run through the list. Like I said at top, each tier is roughly, you know, I think of each tier, each level of this as like its own tier, and going down a tier is more significant than going left-right. But they are also in kind of left-right order in a way that makes sense to me. Yeah, I think this is good. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Laid Back Camp, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 4 specifically, Haikyuu, second season, Shirobako for the top tier, K-On!, Kaguya-sama, season 3, that's the best season, My Hero Academia, season 2, Rascal Does Not Dream, and New Game on the second tier, Sound Euphonium, Erased, Bocchi the Rock, Food Wars, Third Plate, and Quintessential Quintuplets Movie on the third tier. Higurashi When They Cry Go, Anime Yell, Komi Can't Communicate, Suradura Children, and a place further on the fourth tier. And then below that, Princess Connect Redive, My Dress Up Darling, The Demon Girl Next Door, ReZero, and Your Name on the last tier of the 25. I think that's a solid list. A solid reorganization. Sorry about the ones that dropped, but, you know, it happens. Yeah, I had to make room, and, you know, if a new season wasn't quite as hot as the previous season, it just made sense to be the one what was pulled. I'll tell you, looking at this, I am a little like, I am thinking to myself, like, maybe Food Wars should move down one, but actually I don't know what would move up if I were to do that, and also, I really enjoyed the hell out of every Food Wars season up to the last one on my last rewatch, so I think it needs to be on the list, and honestly, it is a show that I could rewatch as many times as Erased, or Quintuplets, or Sound Euphonium, and probably, you know, I haven't rewatched Bocchi the Rock because it's too damn new, but I could probably rewatch Bocchi the Rock as many times as Food Wars or any of these others, so I think it makes sense on this tier. Let's get to the Mario Maker. That's the next thing here. Hope that was interesting. Alright, I'm gonna change the game. Sunday morning Mario making. Making, not Mario making. Work. Kicking off Sunburn Sanctuary Mario Maker 2. Viewer, not viewer levels, level design, that's the tag. Alright, I'm gonna go to the couch to do some Mario making now. We're gonna kick off the development of the next level, Sunburn Sanctuary, just as soon as I get over onto the couch. You know, give me a second here. Right then, it's time to make some Mario. So this is, of course, the 36th level of my super world. The first level of bonus biome, which is sort of like the lost world of my super world. You know, in Donkey Kong Country terms, this would be the secret world, the one you unlock at the end, and the one that has the final, actual finale in it. Whereas, like, the last level that was uploaded, Near New Nebula, is at the end of the, you know, the supposed last world. Wow, that clear rate is lower than I expected. Maybe you might have to tweak it some more. I'll maybe have to look at that, but, you know, unless I'm making more major overhauls, I don't want to delete and re-upload it to, like, you know, that'll take down the world as well, the super world, since I just updated it. I want to focus now, today, on the new level. Is it loaded? That's right, that's why I was in the core spot all that time, because I have to load the motherfucker when I reset the game at, you know, went with one of the pre-built levels. All right, let's talk about what this level is. It's gonna be a Link level for one. A Link level. This level is going to fill a lot of gaps that currently exist in the super world. It's gonna be a Link level. It's gonna be a Sun level, and it's going to be a moving platform level. I think this is a good combination of things in order to make it so that, you know, basically the problem with the sun is that it's not a threat unless you're at this particular height. And with a moving platform sequence like this, the sun can be made into a threat. You know, because in a level like this, it makes sense that the gameplay takes place at this level, because that's where the raft is. But so let's start hashing things up. You can see I was trying out things like this, where, you know, right, the conveyor belt means that you don't get blocks under you, even though there's lava down there. trying out things like this. The only problem is you can see it kills the sun, so that won't be happening. That's just a complete no-go. The sun can be killed, for what it's worth, using a bomb, a really well, carefully timed bomb, but that's hard, and if you pull that off, more power to you. I also think that stuff like this, where you have to go above the... where you have to, like, climb above and then hit a switch and then drop down, that could be a little awkward insofar as, you know, you don't want the raft to move without you too much. But also, here's something I'm concerned with as far as, like, length goes. I think for structurally, for, like, the structure of the level, one of the concerns, one of the things that's technically challenging is that you can only have one sun. But I think the way that we'll do this is we'll have it be like, there will be one sun, but two sections that sort of start from the same section. The same section in the subworld. Say 4 screens worth. Okay. So basically, it'll be something like this where, you know, from the checkpoint originally, when you start, it'll be going to the right. And you'll, like, have to deal with the sun a whole bunch going to the right. And then when you come back on the second trip, it'll be going to the left instead. And, you know, you'll have to deal with that. I say you'll have to deal with that. That's a little vague. It'll be going to the left, so the sun will still spawn. And you'll be able to ride the sun, to ride it the other way. One concern I have here is that the sun only makes passes every 10 seconds or so. And let's see how many passes the sun makes before we get to the end of the line, 4 screens in. If we just let him, if we just let it roll. The answer is 2. Not very good now, is it? 2 passes, and let me see, where are we right now? Yeah, we're at the 4 screen mark, so assuming the first half is shorter than the second half, we probably need to draw this out a little bit, such that you know, there's a little more meat on these bones. You know, you want to have the sun, like, have multiple runs and have to dodge both sun and enemies multiple times and such. Right? Like, at this point, why even have the sun? Because it's just the equivalent of having a fireball pass by twice. Not really good enough. So we need some breaks. We need some interrupts. On the other side, how many passes would it be? Also, we do want to consider if sometimes the raft should go fast. You know, sometimes maybe it should go fast rather than slow. How exactly are we going to manage this? That's the question here. Like, how exactly do we make this work? Do we make this interesting? Do we make this last a whole level? And it's a question I currently do not have an answer for, unfortunately. And of course, the upper half will be... there'll be another sun in there, and maybe it'll work the same way with one section going one way and one section going the other way. Though, as you saw earlier, it's going to be in the clouds, you know, sort of in the outside of the temple. Maybe we'll use blue platforms and like a rail type deal instead of you know, the other thing, instead of bullet bill hats. You know, there's not gonna be a lava at the bottom of the outside. I kind of do like stuff like this where there's a bunch of Goombas or something trying to board the platform. Put this here. I'll just clone them a bunch of times just for like see if this like feels good or fun or whatever. Also, let me put a spike hat on Link. I like spike hats in levels like this because they allow you to have multiple hits while staying Link, and also give you more options. You know, you can now take on these dudes from below. One question though: can this kill the sun? We don't want this to kill the sun. Well, I guess it's kind of immaterial. You can't really get low enough to do, like, get below the sun, because the sun is going to be on the left side of the screen, and you're going to be at the center. So, even if that were to be possible, which I'm not sure that it is, it wouldn't be relevant, strictly speaking. That's kind of cool, but also a little bit much. What other enemies can we toy with right now? Bombs that are exploding. Is it possible that those bombs exploding might take out the sun? I'm not sure. You already have the option to make bombs, though, so it wouldn't be that. Hey, I'm on reroll. How you doing? What else is good? Call me Spent. Hello, Spent. What about, here's an idea. Missile Koopas. How's that? What if we did, like, a whole bunch of them? Maybe even giant ones. I don't know that I've used giant red Mecha Koopas before. I might have in one of the earlier levels of the Super World. What we're doing today, by the way, Spent, if you're curious, is you're new to the whole Mario Maker thing. What I'm doing today, Spent, is I'm working on my own next level, which is sort of a platform Sun Link level, and I'm trying to figure out like what combinations of stuff is fun. These guys, they fire too slowly to be a threat. Looks cool. I would talk. Yeah, these guys too slow to be a threat. They're kind of awkward. They're not it. What if there's Monty Moles, like really low? We'll talk about your level. Go ahead, man. And I'll say if you want to do like you want to do viewer levels, I do those on like Fridays specifically. Friday nights I do viewer levels around like 6 p.m. Eastern time. I kind of like you can't release it, you don't have Nintendo Online. Gotcha. These guys are too low to be a threat. They end up going into the lava. Raise them up a bit. I kind of there could be something here if there was like a wall of Goombas forcing you to go over, you know, around the same time as the sun's coming down. Not quite there. But it's kind of cool. There's something here to this horde of Goombas coming at you. Remove this last big Goomba. Those two, and let's see how that feels. But are there enemies that explode when you hit them with arrows? That would be fun if possible, because then you could, you know, like, you could, like, target those guys and put some umbrella, some parachutes on these guys. Don't worry about it, Spent. What happens if you hit one of these guys with an arrow? Does it become a projectile that, hits other guys? I wonder if there could be, like, fun here in, like, specifically hitting the bombs with arrows and using that to clear out a bunch of guys. Oh, they do explode as soon as they hit an enemy. Go ahead, explain your level. What is your first thing that you tried? The bombs do also damage you, which is a little bit risky. You tried to rush it. That just completely missed the whole lot of them there. Yeah, the bomb... Having bombs that explode the rest of them isn't a bad idea. But also, it's a little risky because it'll hit you just as well. Suppose there's anything else that becomes a projectile when hit. The Mecha Koopas, they're immune to arrows, right? They're immune to arrows, so they wouldn't work the same way. Yeah. They wouldn't become projectiles. Your level's a bit bad, more of a straight line. Understandable, that's the first... You know, everyone's gotta start somewhere. What about spikes? How about a spike? Giant spike. What... Can you, like, arrow that? What happens if you hit an arrow into that? Well, first I have to fucking hit it. Immune to arrows, okay. Also, if you sword it, you bounce off it. That feels really weird. No, that's not it. Fuzzy beetles won't do it. Your level has it so you get chased by a homing missile-looking things. Minimal obstacles, just a troll. Gotcha. Well, you know, you can always get Nintendo Switch online. It's not that expensive. It's only like 20 bucks a year. Unless you want N64 games, in which case it becomes a little bit more. Not even that much more, you know? Okay. You already pay a lot monthly? Gotcha. I mean, I don't have a PlayStation Plus, so, you know, I guess, you know, if you're not doing online stuff on Nintendo, it doesn't make sense necessarily to subscribe to it, but, you know, I do a lot of it, and also I like to play the N64 games, so I have the expansion pack. Could there be Thwomp stuff? Thwomp stuff would actually be maybe a pretty good fit for a platform level. I'm gonna get rid of these guys right now. Just leave the Goombas. And let's put in a little section after this. You wouldn't release it? That's fair as well. Put in a couple of thwomps here and see how fun it would be to jump over them, under them, etc. There's a random pipe that leads to this troll at the start. Ah, troll pipe. They're called troll pipes. Yeah, that's a classic. That's just a classic troll maneuver. So much so that, like, actual trolls don't do it, you know? Pick a pipe or whatever. Actual troll levels tend to be a little more, that's kind of fun to have to jump through the bunch of them like that. That's not bad. Is there anything special we can do on that? Like add, what if there were guys on top? Hey, Highway. Were you playing viewer levels at any point? Nah, man, I did a whole bunch of, revising my anime list my anime top 25 list. That was the first order of business this stream. Okay. That's actually kind of difficult to like shoot the guy on top of the thing before he comes at you. So like if we did like this, it would probably be bad. Your stream hiccuped? I'm not doing, I wasn't doing viewer levels earlier. I did a bunch of anime. I was going through my top 25 anime earlier today. Maybe there could be an obstacle of, like, blocks that you have to hit. Yeah, that doesn't really work. It doesn't really work to, have, like, a wall of guys to hit as they're coming at you. Not a good elaboration. Yeah, that's Highway. I've known Highway for years and years. Many, many, many years. That's right. 2006 roundabout, yeah. Ages. Fucking ages, especially in, like... Yeah, that kind of is not great. Oh, also, you can't put in a parachute on him while he's got stuff on top. Okay. There could also be like that. Like two at the same level. What would that be like, huh? Oh, I guess with the spike helmet, you could take these guys out. You could take out these guys as so. Yeah. You could actually jump that, turns out. But, probably a new player won't be able to figure it out in time. Probably. You've been banned a couple of times, Spence. Understandable. It happens. People say, yeah, okay, that seems like a reach, but whatever. I guess. Spent in the chat said, was implying sexual desire by chatting yo. Seems, yeah, that's, I don't know about that. That seems like reading into it a lot. It's a pretty common greeting. Yo, what's up? Let's go. What's going on? Twitch on people can be really rude sometimes, but I try my best to be, respectful. Yeah, that's just a good policy, Highway. Very good policy right there. Boo wheels. What about boo wheels? Is a boo wheel, like, really well timed to the platform, or is it gonna be like... Or is it gonna be like, No, it's not well timed at all. Though you can get through it, holy shit. With the spike helmet, at least. If it was right near the start, maybe you could do it. Not really. Not quite, anyway. Okay, it actually kind of works if it's near the start. Like, kind of. I just did a bunch of boo wheels in the last level, though, so... I don't think... Yeah, boo wheels. Nah. Nah, not boo wheels. Pokies. Pokies are fun with Link. Because, you know, they got the head at the top, right? And they also have the little segments. So, you know, if you get a really good arrow into the head, you can take him down in one hit. In fact, maybe, like, instead of, like, Koopas coming at you, or, like, Goombas, start off with... Or at one point, we could have, like, a bunch of Spinies come down, or a bunch of those fuckers. They're too low. Yeah, they're too low right now. They won't actually land on the thing. Try it again. This looks really good, sir. Currently, it's all just rough draft. It's all just rough draft here. The point here today is to just try things out and see what works, see what doesn't. I kind of like the thwomps, but the guys on top of the thwomps, nah. What else would be good? I guess flying enemies. Now would be a great time for flying enemies. And in specific, I haven't used Spinies with wings yet in the super world. So now maybe would be a great time for them. Let's make them big in particular, just to make them into bigger targets. And also, they're a little more scary if they're big. And yeah, you can use the spike helmet to get rid of their spikes. That said, they do kind of pass you by before they actually fire a thing off. Honestly, there could be like a whole bunch of them. There could be like more than just two or whatever, just like a whole swarm of them. Let's try that out for size. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let me review my notes. I have notes here on Google Docs. Let me pull them up on my phone and just read through what ideas I came up with in the past for this level. Because this level has been in the, you know, an idea for a while. I definitely have some notes here. The first one is from 2021. Should I make it now? A level with on-off blocks to execute enemies? Yeah, totally. You've been making levels recently that have power-ups and checkpoints and emphasis on traditional stuff? Nice. I can't wait to see that highway. Here's my notes. Sun level, moving platform level. Link level, moving platforms take you through a ruin in the clouds. Subworld Bowser's Castle, bullet bill platforms in lava. You know, since I have the bullet bill platforms already, there could definitely be things where, like, as you pass by, bullet bills are dropped behind you and then they fire bullet bills in your direction. Maybe the outside area could be night sky, low gravity. The sanctuary is where the sun goes at night. Ended up not doing that because I ended up with a low gravity level in the last world, so that's no longer needed. The outside is now light, bright, and we'll have a sun in it as well. A good way to have the sun be present for both sections is to have them start in the same spot. First one go left, right one go right based on on-off switch status. Think Clobber Carnage. Okay, so that's a direction for me to go in as far as what? You got a glitch? Spent? That's fine. Let me know if there's any problems with the stream. You probably need a new keyboard if that's the problem you're having. Make it risky but unappealing prospect to shortcut the level by jumping from platform to platform early when possible. Okay, so maybe having some cases where there's like a little shortcut you can do by like you know, instead of waiting for the platform to like go, you're on mobile, so you're a little behind. Gotcha. Instead of making it so that you have to wait on the platform, maybe have it be over here. And having it so that you could jump off some enemies or something. Clobber Carnage. That's a... Well, maybe you could if you got on there earlier. Also, I noticed with, you know, adding some blocks means that the thwomp stops, actually, rather than going all the way. There'll also be platforms here. Oh, hell, I see when you actually sword the guys, they become projectiles. That's kind of cool. See that? What else can we try? I'm gonna add an on-off section just to reverse it, so that we'll have like a, just to like have it so that we go to the other way at first. And we'll build up some stuff in this direction as well. My levels are definitely not trollish. Yeah, they're not. They're like bonus levels where you have to get every coin. A lot of them. Kind of like really, really long, really, really rigorous bonus levels. That's how I would describe them. People here can be very rude. Someone rage quits a cold hunt. That's bullshit, man. I gotcha. It's a very unusual type of level that you do, Highway, and yeah, they can be quite hard to like find your way around. And if you fail, it's like, oh shit, you know, you're starting from scratch. What about Cheap Cheeps? Cheap Cheeps would be very threatening here because they're gonna light on fire. And whoopsie daisy. They're gonna set themselves on fire and be immune to jumping on, but you can sword them, or you could sword them, or you can arrow them. It's kind of hard to hit them with arrows. Honestly, I think they should be bigger. They should be bigger. And some of them should be red. Nice. Red, green, red, green. You're a lazy creator who feels like making creations for myself. Gotcha. Nothing wrong with that. No, it's cool. Don't worry about it. What else can we try? Bloopers? Bloopers would work. Again, let's make them big. Big bloopers, big targets, right? Maybe there's a better way to do this on-off thing for this section. Not that scary, the bloopers. Put wings on them. Wing bloopers. Wing bloopers. There we go. Make them fast, you know? Maybe they'll be more scary if... Oh, look at that. We can totally just throw bombs at them. It's kind of fun. Makes it a little disheartened if people see people play them. People miss obvious things. Yeah, that's the thing about making a level, right? Like, what you find to be obvious and intuitive isn't necessarily what everyone else will find obvious and intuitive, so, you know, they'll run into issues, they'll get hung up on things that you thought were perfectly clear, and, you know, that's just part of the process, man. You gotta iterate, you know? Yeah, put your level, sometimes you have to put your level in front of someone and see how they take it, you know? Let's make this a big chain chomp. And just add him on like a platform like so. A really narrow platform, actually. So you'll have to deal with him. That's kind of fun. Those guys are not very scary at all. They barely even threaten you. Oh, I gotta make room for the platform to go through. That's right. Okay, that's fairly obvious. Yep. I gotta start off here so I can reverse it in time, you know? By the time he's spawning, you know, he's already, like, biting in a random direction, giving you time to, like, jump up and be ready to stab him should you have Link. Here's a question, though. What happens if you're bad? What happens if you're... I'm gonna get rid of the Link, get rid of the spike helmets. Let's just say you have nothing. Let's just say you... Oh, you're talking a lot. That's... Don't be sorry for being quiet. A lot of people are way more quiet. Don't even worry about it. And hell, if you don't want to talk, that's fine too. You can just watch. Yeah, okay, well that's... You can kind of get through some of the other sections here, even without Link suits. Like if you stand in just the right place here, and if these guys are just so... But this guy, you cannot get around, like, at all. Unless you were to add, like, some blue platforms all around. See that being a way to do it. Something like this would allow for, like, a way around it that was challenging while still being, like, possible for regular Mario. It'd be cool if you had to jump over the sun, while the guys were coming at you. It's kind of fun right now with the bloopers. That kind of feels awkward, actually. With the way that the chain chomp is right where you want to go. If you just see the platforms, the blue platforms, and move on instinct. I kind of like not being able to jump as high as I should be able to. Okay, it's possible to go over. I want to make the blooper giant, and you found out you can't. You can make the blooper giants. You hold them down, and then there's the mushroom. But they don't go bigger than that, I guess. And I think you can't have it where the guy has the babies and also is giant. Yeah, you can combine all that stuff, Highway. Check again if that's what you meant. I kind of like the idea of having a really low ceiling for some of these sun hops. Like, let's see. So it's around here that the sun is really coming at you. So there could be a place where, if we time this right, let's say it's the kind of level where, you know, the timing will be the same invariably. Basically in an auto-scroller sense, you know, no breaks before this part. Try that again. Then you could totally have a section where you gotta jump over the guy. When you lose Link, do you become Big Mario or do you become, Little Mario? You become Little Mario. So, in this level, you'll never be two tiles tall. You know, you'll either have Small Mario, Link with a spike hat, or Mario with a spike hat. And in all cases will be little. Move this over. And raise it by 1. So I don't have to worry about clearance. For Big Mario versus Little Mario, you will always be 1 block tall. I kind of like here where you have to like do a little jump over the sun. That's kind of neat. Lava lifts. Lava lifts could be interesting in this part where the level is going right to left. I used lava lifts in an earlier level, and they ended up being in an earlier level that moves right to left. You know, sort of reverse from normal. And it ended up being interesting in that level, you know, to like have to jump over them. And, you know, because they're moving the wrong way, to jump off them right fast. It's sort of like an alternate blue platform in that they fall, but it's not really that they fall, they just go entirely the wrong way. And this level, if you actually stayed on them, you'd die because the platform would get ahead of you. I think it's done 3 passes. Yeah, 3.5 it can do with 6 screens without any breaks or anything. I think I am going to have to do some form of break. Some sort of like, oh, you know, you have to do some sort of challenge to turn an on-off switch on or off before proceeding. I have to figure out what exactly that's going to be like, though. Magic Koopas are an option. Those would be cool. Kind of random, but also, you know, if you can hit them with an arrow, you can hit them with a sword. They get on your platform, you just sword them down. You don't even have to jump. I haven't used... Actually, I have used spikes rather recently. There were a couple of levels in the last world that used spikes, but a spike wouldn't be a bad idea, maybe. Let me try a spike real fast, and I'll try it over... Put it over here, over on the right. We'll put a spike on a static platform. A small platform. Go like this. This really isn't enough room for like anything good, but whatever. We're just in a brainstorming phase right now. We're just looking to try things out, see what sticks, see what feels good with Link. Oh, they just totally walked off. Well. Okay. I thought they would stay put, but I guess they don't. They need a little more ledge, a little more... this is gonna block the things, isn't it? Okay, yeah, that'll do. Not sure if that'll be awkward to platform on, but if you're just bouncing off the guys, it won't make a difference. How exactly am I gonna give the player the shelmet? I wonder. Because the shelmet, you can't hold it in this theme in Super Mario Bros. 1, so it has to be placed in the level such that you can jump into it. There could be one on the ceiling right there, I guess. That kind of makes that whole thing awkward, though. It's not a good place for it. Let me just respike myself real fast, so we can get to that part reasonably easy. Oh wow, those guys there, Yep. Some of the timing ended up being a little awkward with these spikes. Let's go into the upper part of it. And see if we can find any good ideas here. Currently, I have just a blue plats-based approach to this outside area. You know, because obviously it doesn't have a ground, doesn't have lava. Using, okay, that kind of sucks if you're, like, tempted to just run forward off the blue platforms. And it looks like you can do it until the blue platforms run out. That kind of sucks. So, probably nothing like this. Or, rather, not this many blue platforms. I can see blue platforms being a big part of the level, though. Because they allow for you to have a way to get above the platform briefly, and then have to return to it after it falls. You know, I think that's cool. Hello, Jailer. Jayor? Why am I proud of this? So easy to make. Yeah, I enjoy it. That's it. Thank you for the follow. I'm on Virule. Thank you, thank you. That's the iterative process, you know. You try stuff out, and you know, you find something that feels good and satisfying and stuff, and it's nice. Let's try some things out. One thing I would really like to find a place in the super world is like these guys. Chain chomp on pegs. I've used chain chomps before, but they've always been just free chain chomps. What if, here's an idea. There's a bunch of chain chomps on a blue platform, and you can kill them by jumping onto the end of the blue platform. Like that. Okay, moving back. Let's make it so that you can kill him, like, right away. That's not bad. I think that the RNG factor will be a little much, you know, like, whether or not the... Can you explain how you made the dumb level? Sure, go ahead, explain. Whether or not there's an opening for you to jump on there will be RNG, so maybe this isn't, like, a very good design, like, long-term, but... something there kind of works. Probably not gonna work in the long run. Oh, also, wow, they respawn. So obviously, first you enter a sub-level. Right. And then there's some guys who get executed or some such. An on-off contraption executes some guys. That makes sense. You could always use a POW block for the same purpose. POW block makes sense as something that you can shoot with an arrow. Wait, will a POW block kill? Yes, kind of, maybe. If they're on the ground, it'll kill them. So, probably not, actually. Those guys, they bounce around a bunch. You know. As they do. Maybe it does always kill them. Let me see. Land on it. Okay, they were above the ground that time, and they didn't die. Okay. Good to know. It could also just be pegs. I could use pegs. No, the way that people do pegs sometimes. They just, they put up a bomb below the I don't know that I actually have ever used pegs on their own. With the chain chomp or not. Well, how they do it is they put a peg like, they put the chain chomp like there. They put those guys below. So the bombs blow up the chain chomps and just leave a bunch of pegs there. That are, you know, interesting in that they are solid objects that, you know, if you got below them, they would crush you. They would crush enemies that are, you know, crushable. That don't go through solid objects. And, you know, you could use it to create platforms that move that are solid. You know, that they cannot be jumped through. I've never used pegs yet. Maybe I should. Maybe pegs be like a natural thing. In fact, you know, it doesn't have to be a bullet bill platform in the subworld. It could be a peg platform. And also that would mean that you can like ground pound through a peg as Link. I guess then you would be discouraged then from ground pounding. Does the bomb fuck up the pegs? Let me just check, make sure they don't. It'd be weird if they did. Okay, here we go. Bomb. No, it's just the ground pound. Kinda like the idea of using the pegs, actually. Like I said, I've not used pegged chain chomps in the super world yet. And using their pegs independently is kind of close enough in my books. I don't know, pegged chain chomps are kind of awkward and random to begin with. It's kind of hard to find a place for them in one of my levels. But also, I do challenge myself to use enemies that I don't usually use, so, you know, I should find a place for them somewhere. I'm sure, like, I'll come up with a very interesting design once I do. Okay. We remade the... Right. That's enough messing around for now. I want to do... I've made a platform level or two in my time that might have interesting lessons for us. So I would like to root around in my previous levels real fast and play a couple of levels that are complete and good, that are platform levels, and, you know, think about what they do. Wind Up Woods Bonsai Bog is a pretty good one for that, but it's not really quite a platform level. It just has some moving platforms in it. Not quite in the way that I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is a platform level in the, you found a glitch in the jungle? In your level, you mean? What I'm thinking about is levels where it's sort of auto-scrolly, but strictly because you are constrained by a platform that is moving. And the best example of that I have in Mario Maker 2 is this one here. Right here. Power Out Bout. From outside of my super world. So let's play that one. Now, this will involve a little bit of jumping games. So, I was also thinking, there's at least one I have back in Mario Maker 1 of a platform level that might have a lesson for us. So, I would like to go back to... I'd like to pull up the Wii with the Wii U real fast and, do a thing. This one, by the way, is a darkness level. Is a sort of like, Blackout Basements. Also, you know, you were talking about an execution thing, Spent. There's sort of a similar idea in this level here. Also, by the way, this level takes place in a factory. similar to Blackout Basement, in fact. And you can see there's light fixtures at the top, and they turn on and off in rhythm, you know, sporadically, and give us some light. The basic design here was that when the lights come on, it shows you enemies that are coming at you, and then the lights will go off, and the enemies you'll have to deal with them. How do you enable darkness? The way that you do that is you use a ghost house and you set it to nighttime. I don't know if you have nighttime unlocked. To unlock that, you just take the sun and you hold down on it, and you you switch it to daytime. Here, there's these places where a bunch of Goombas drop on you from above, and it's kind of cool. I usually don't fuck up like that, going under the thing. Here you can go under it if you please, and maybe even kill that guy from below. Gonna go. See you later, Spent. Thanks for dropping by. So you can see here, there's these places where, like, you're sort of taken aback a little bit by, like, oh god, there's a bunch of Koopas about to drop on you. And you can either use a Koopa to kill them all, or use the Fire Flower, or just jump on them a bunch. Whatever is your pleasure, you know? I just jumped into the pit and didn't land on the Goombas. The ending is right there. I think we got a good idea of what this course is. Something like that would be good for my next level, for you know, Sunburn Sanctuary, except with the sun and with Link, and not a dark level. And I think that the Link part of it will give you enough things to do while you're on the platform riding it, right? Whereas this level, you know, the platform ride is very harrowing because you're dealing with enemies in the dark. You know, that's why it's cool, that's why it's exciting. That's what makes the platform ride not just a little bit boring, you know? But I think Link will give you enough options to spice it up as well. I think that's nice. I'm gonna switch games real fast. I'm gonna switch over to, I think that's my only platform level I've made in Mario Maker 2. Right? Let me check real fast. There's certainly not any in the Super World, I don't think. And yeah, so none of these other ones are platform levels. In Burberry Bounty, you ride a raft, but that's not quite the same. That's a really fast thing. I'll play Burberry Bounty for a second just to show off the raft, and I'll show just one instance of that. But otherwise, for platform levels, I think I have to go to Mario Maker 1, where I made a couple of those that I can look at, that we can look at for reference, and see if we can learn anything from them. Here's the raft. It's just it's a blue raft, and you ride it, and because it's slippery, I put the peg there. Well, I guess I have used a peg on its own before, once, in Mario Maker 2. But not in the Super World, so, you know, still, same. So still, the point stands. So you have to jump over stuff, duck under stuff, and hold mine. Also, it can destroy enemies, which is pretty cool. This level is short. I can do it real fast. Also, you got these stuff where they're doing, like, icicle stuff. I was sort of inspired by the ice pop level of Tropical Freeze for this. You know, just having some popsicles in the middle of this, like, blueberry grove that also produces, I say blueberry, it's a Burberry Bounty is the level, so I guess they are Burberries. They produce frozen treats as well. And there's a little bit of a trick there. Those guys, you can't actually jump on them. But you'll hopefully just land on the platform good and normal, and it'll be fine.
Oh yeah, Mario time!
That's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for something that's more slow-paced, and something more like, Something less of a ride and more of a like trek. Like Trick Track Trek. I think for other platform levels there are none. And certainly none in the super world. Wind Up Woods 4 is about the closest it gets in my super world so far, which is why, you know, I want to have this one be a platform level. It's a gap that needs addressing that I think is a genre of level that is worth having one of in the super world. But it is a difficult one to make. I'm gonna switch over. 1 second. This keyboard was not on. 1 second. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna switch to the Wii U and I'm gonna show off a Mario Maker 1 level that I did that was a platform level, and we'll think about what it does well and what we can learn from it. All right. Wii U is 4. I'm over here. The tracking got a little wonky there. That's weird that it's defaulting to way over here right now. I'll have to check that, I guess, later. I should maybe check these default zoom levels or whatnot with the cam. Pulling it up now. Let's see. Okay, it's now Mario Maker 1. Just for a minute. Just for a second. I'm gonna go to the levels that I made back in the day. Yes, I imagine I've gotten a fair amount of notifications since the last time I played. Okay, not that many. I guess the course world is still up. Let me get that down. Mario Maker 1, just for a minute. I just want to look through the levels that I made back in the day, back in Mario Maker 1. Find any platform levels and play them for reference. Platform levels, no. Book Chase, no, that's not one of them. AV Gloom, nope. Literary Pursuits 2, Nobel Rise, nope. Hush Rush, no. Fireable Falls, nope. Old Wraithful involves blue platforms that move up. That's a little different, though. It is adjacent. No, we'll play any that's like tangentially relevant. This one, there's these platforms that are bursting out of the thing. How's the volume here? Let me just knock it down a bit. I think Mario Maker 1 must have a higher volume than Mario Maker 2. Yeah, let's just go there. Also, by the way, the red coins here, completely optional. So basically, you would get on a platform and then you would move left and right to like go around. Also, you'd have cases like this where a bunch of them were going up in sequence, and you would jump from one to the next, and they would be all very well timed. You know? Not bad. You know, this isn't completely irrelevant to the level. You know? Here you have to go left, and then right again. To avoid the booze, anyway. I think that's kind of cool. Got some cases like this where you ride down, left, right, get around the booze. Then there's a bit that's kind of similar to the to Bonehead Bramble from my current Super World, the second game. With highly scripted levels like this, platform levels tend to be highly scripted. You can totally do some really cool, like, some really cool parts that route the player in interesting ways. So maybe that's something to think about as far as, like, yeah, you know, I have the option to route the player in very precise, very intentional ways. Let me see, any other levels? Diamond Drop is one where you ride like a shell. Actually, at the end of Book Chase, there is one very small platform level part, just at the very end. It's a very simple section, though. Was the sun in Mario Maker 1? I don't think it was, or else I'm sure I would have used it at some point. So Book Chase, it's the library world. So, basically you go into this subworld and it's like various books. It's sort of like that book. Movie where they went into books and the books talked. What the fuck was that called? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. First book is like a pirate ship book. And by the way, each of these, like, library levels each had, like, a core idea that would, both had, like, a core idea. On the book, on the library, there's no talking in a library, right? But each of them had, like, something in it that caused music to start. Or some other sort of sound or background or something. In this case, going into the books, each of them has, like, a different musical, styling. So there's, like, Goosebumps. You know, that sort of deal. And then the final book here, this is the one with the platform sequence in it, is like a spy novel in the Alpines. Fuck. So this is like a tree that's full of spiders and shit, I guess, is the idea. Okay, here we go. Alpine spy novel. You're going through like an Alpine Lodge, which was a theme that I made for an earlier level of the Super World. Then you go down and there's a ride on some shells. And it goes a little bit fast. Jump over guys and deal with enemies that are coming at you. Some Hammer Brothers drop in. Then it ends. It's more, in this case, the platform level is more of a accent, more of a spice than anything. You know, it's more of a climax. You know, not really, but it's sort of like a treat. Like in Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze, where there's a lot of like set piece climaxes that are like, oh, you're running around in a minecart that's in a circle of tracks, right? The whole level isn't built around that. It's about 10 seconds of gameplay that is, like, memorable and a little bit different from the rest. But, you know, it's just a little bit of a surprise. Now, the actual platform level here, the only one here that is actually a full-on platform level off the top of my head is Avalanche Lodge 1-2, Thrift Lift. Which is sort of like, this world is sort of like a ski lodge, right? One of these levels I actually remade in Mario Maker 2, actually, the first one. But basically, it's a ski lift, so, you know, naturally it makes sense to have, for a blue platform, moving slowly. And for this level, I did a lot of, like, you know, having there be bullet bills that fired stuff at you, then disappeared, or guys that were boarding your platform repeatedly, and, you know, you have to deal with them. Setups like this where, as you pass, the Monty Mole comes down on you. Things like this where a bunch of Goombas just board your platform repeatedly, and you can, you know, kill them with the thing. Now, since the sun is what we're aiming to build this next one around, we can't do a lot of, like, moving up and down like this, you know, which is gonna be tough because that's a good way to get a lot of interest out of the level, right? Just moving up and down and around, you know. Very few platform levels in, like, BKC have you just on a flat, what's it, you know? Just have you on a flat surface. And here you get both at once now. Bullet bills and guys coming at you. Very few. And here's some moles boarding from below. For some reason that one on the left, on the right didn't spawn. Ah, well. Oh yeah, there's a secret down here, by the way. Okay, good. That worked out. I'm glad I put that platform there. I probably realized that some people might, fuck up there. Put a bunch of these as just a big, memorable last moment at the start. At the end. Fuck. But yeah, this is just a really good example of, you know, having a platform level where enemies are just constantly boarding your platform. I feel like in, there's several levels of, like, you know, obviously Donkey Kong Country has a bunch of levels like this. There's also a couple in, like, some of the new Mario games, you know, like New U and such, where there's a bunch of enemies that are just boarding your platform and you have to get them off before the platform gets bogged down. Something like that makes a lot of sense in a platform level. You know, making the platform a dangerous place to be, even though it's practically the only place to be, and the only place you can be long-term. There you go. Nice. And by the way, this was obviously before the snow theme, so, you know, doing it in the airship theme was the best I could do back in the day. Let's look. Are there any other platform levels? Skullbeard's Grave Glacier is kind of like that. Halfway and half. Let's play it and think. I think this is a white and blue skull level where you ride these white skull platforms and have to dodge ghosts. Also, you go underwater and ride the blue ones, which are fast instead of slow. You want to go to the lower one so you don't get hit. Pretty straightforward. What can we learn from this? Again, you know, we can learn that you can set up very specific paths which to follow in a platform level. You know, we can also learn that it doesn't always have to be a platform level. We can go to the parts that are more just regular ass on foot or whatever. You know, the platform can be like a treat. The platform can be like intermittent. God damn it. Easier if you can just ride the platform. Here. Faster, anyway. this is like the last section here. And yeah, there's sections where you can jump ahead a little bit and get to the next platform. Some platform levels it works like that. Since our new one is going to be one single platform for most of it. I'm not sure we'll be able to do that much of that sort of routing. Honestly, I'm not sure like how exactly we're going to make that interesting, considering that for two reasons. One, a platform ride like that, it has to be at the bottom, and like a pretty like non-moving level, and two, because of the sun has to pass at a certain level, that makes sense to build. You know, we can't have that much vertical variation just because otherwise the sun would stop being a threat. Let me look through and see if there's any other platform levels in that same style here among my old Mario Maker 1 repertoire. Nope, I don't think so. Sulfuric Shuffle. No, that's a Yoshi level, not a platform level. Oh, Boofer 1 Special is a platform level. The first one, 1988 Boofer 1 Special. These were a pair of levels that were like, they were like basically the same space, but set many, many years apart. Basically, you had to ride these platforms, and in some cases you had to bring shells from the start of one platform to another. Again, a lot of the interest comes from, whoops. Trying to get to the bonus area here. There we go. A lot of the interest comes from, like, varying the path and making it not just a flat path, you know, and having you avoid enemies that are static while you do so. I suppose one thing we can note from this is that regular-ass ghosts make a really good, like, flying enemy because they're in place, they're static. Doesn't matter when they spawn, so a little right on the platform doesn't make a difference. And, they can be fun to avoid. Here you have to start, doing the platform stuff while there's a big red shell sharing the platform with you. Which is gonna be a little bit of a challenge, you see. Again, I think it's possible there might... Well, I guess only... This is maybe the only one where you actually have to do it. And yeah, the boos are kind of out of the way, so you don't really have to dodge them that much. But once you do that, you can break a path through and get to the end. What can we learn about from this level? Boos, very useful. Boos are very useful for this purpose. For making a platform level. There's also, by the way, 2012 Boofer 1 Special. I'll just show, like, the start of that. The one thing that's neat about that is it's set in the same space. Like, it's not a platform level, so it's not really relevant to what we're doing here. But basically, I took the same level and just, like, set it years later, and you can see the places where we, well, first off, they're all dry bones now, and the places where we busted through the walls, the busting is still there, so I thought that was a neat way to, like, connect the two. It's more of a vine-based level than the first one. I think this was before there was incremental power-ups, by the way, so if you're wondering why none of those, that's why. Red Koopas also are pretty good to dodge and pretty good to dodge around in levels like this, I guess. You know, they sort of move up and down on a regular pattern. That works pretty well. Oh, that was fast. Was that even before checkpoints?
Oh yeah, Mario time.
Was there a checkpoint in that level? I know what. You know what? I think this was before checkpoints as well. This one was like, what year was this? Jeez. It was 2015. Yeah, that must have been like the first couple months of Mario Maker. Actually, second month even. Really, really. Oh yeah, Tom's Cat Spat. That's another platform level. This one's a platform level too. Let's play it. This one used, it's the thing you see now in levels now and again. It uses a bunch of flying blocks that you have to ride, like this. You know, that's why it's called Tomcat Spat. Those are the Tomcats right there. I guess this one is honestly kind of similar to what we're dealing with in you know, the levels that we're dealing with now, in that it is a level where you're basically just going, the platform is just going in a direction, right to left. You know, and that's it. There's nothing more complicated about its movements. And yet the whole level is, you know, the level is built on top of that. You know, you riding the thing, dealing with enemies at the same time, and still manages to be interesting. Now, how does it do that? Exactly. Well, there's a high path and a low path for one, so you can't just hang out on the platform. The platform has bullet bill launchers in addition to just the blocks, so it's kind of dangerous to be on the platform. You know, you have to deal with the bullets, bills, you have to deal with the stuff. And also, guys, do end up boarding your platform, which works pretty well. Food for thought.
Oh yeah, Mario time.
I think everything else that I made in Mario Maker 1, none of it is a platform level. Fury Scurry is another level that uses blue plats or blue skull wraps, but it's not really the same. It's not really a platform level in that sense. Skull Glide Ride. You know what? Actually, Skull Glide Ride, I guess, was the first one I ever made. I guess in Mario Maker 1, I made a lot more platform levels, ride levels like this. Levels where you have to ride a platform and jump off it at the right time. Whereas in Mario Maker 2, it's been a lot more rare as a mechanic I played with. In this one, you have these skull rafts, they fly over the level, and, you know, you go from there. This was the first one, this is the first level I ever made where I had to go into the subworld to make it longer. You know, nowadays, that's sort of like a, like, goes without saying, like, oh yeah, there's the first half and there's the second half, and I have to use both halves of the level to do it, you know? But with this one, the way that it chewed up these launches, they chewed up the level's length, right? They sort of made it really, really long, you know? The way that it like, ate up real estate really quickly meant that I had to go in the subworld for the first time for an extension of space. Which, you know, in retrospect, and like, there's a star here that you can get if you throw the guy up. The coin trail is supposed to be a clue, you know, since on previous instances of it, there's been a thing up there on the top of a coin trail like that. Earlier in the level, anyway. Kind of funny to look back at these older levels, and, you know, it's not entirely platform level, but I'm going to show a malpractice platform. A viewer earlier was talking about how he's just getting into Mario Maker and it's not very good. Why don't I show up for, like, context, the first level I ever made back in 2015 that was just a bunch of random platforms and a costume and Goombas and coins raining from the ceiling, and that's it. This is the first level I ever made. It's not really that impressive now, is it? And after every segment, I added one power-up, and some of these guys, they just sort of fall. Obviously, the Goombas that, like, stand on the platforms and don't fall off, they didn't exist at the time. So, that's all I had to work with. And honestly, Mario Maker 1 was sort of different from Mario Maker 2 in that they didn't just give you everything up top. It might have been, like, most of everything I had to work with at the time, just Goombas, platforms, and maybe a few other things. But yeah, everyone's gotta start somewhere. Everyone's gotta start somewhere, That's Mario Maker 1. I'm gonna go back to Mario Maker 2 for a second. Actually, we're gonna go back to the Switch, but I would like to look at a couple different levels from Donkey Kong Country, the first one. Like I said, my favorite platform levels, as far as like a collection of platform levels go, look no further than Donkey Kong Country 1. It has like tons of them. Let's play a couple of them and think about what they do right, what they do wrong. That is oftentimes how I like to kick off, like, levels like this that have inspiration, It's like, play some of the levels I want to be inspired by and think about how they do. Oh, I could have brought up the changing games thing right now. I'm just gonna put it into retro real fast. I'll put it into retro for these couple of things. I might switch from DKC 1 to 2 to 3 just to look for more examples of platform levels. But the important thing is just to jump in, play through a couple of them, and think, what's good about them? What can we learn? Etc. Like I said, Donkey Kong Country 1 has the greatest example, the greatest collection of such levels, of platform levels. So let's go there to begin with, and use the regular. I could grab my SNES controller, but I really no need to do so. It is fine with this controller. So, platform levels. The first one, and I'm not counting, by the way, I'm not counting minecart levels. I'm specifically counting platform levels where you have a static platform that you are riding, and, that's it for most of the level. There's levels with platform sections that are like platforms over a gap between like other parts that are just a regular level, but that's, again, not really what I'm looking for. I guess there's an argument to be made for Forest Frenzy with the ropes being like a platform. But I think that's tenuous. I'm not gonna... Let's just rewind rather than going out of here. I think that's tenuous. Snow Barrel Blast. And we're also not looking for a... We're not looking for like we're not looking for barrel levels. We're barrel cannon levels. We're looking for platform levels in particular. Which... Rope Bridge Rumble is maybe the first one that gets close to that. And that there's these sections where there's a tire moving across a gap. This one is actually interesting in that, you're not, these are not normal platforms you're riding across the gap. These are not... I can rewind. Let's just rewind, okay? I want to get to the part where it actually becomes the type of level that I'm looking at. These are not normal platforms. These are bouncing platforms. So that makes it a little bit more harrowing. I guess that's an option. Here's probably the first example of that, and it's not over a pit or nothing. But, you bounce off, and you land back on the thing, and you have to keep bouncing. Here's the first real example of it over a bit. And there's some longer ones coming up. I guess this is a way that we could do it. Instead of having it be a normal platform, it could be a bunch of springs. Or... yeah, it could be a bunch of springs. I mean, it's not like... it's Mario Maker 1, it's Mario Brothers 1, so you can't grab them. You can't do any weird cheese to them. We could absolutely have you platforming across a bed of springs and have to be bouncing for a section. Ooh, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea right there. See what we already did? We played one level and we got an idea already. That's the benefit of going back to the classics, you know, going back and looking at the originals. Looks like it's monkey time. That's right. I'm looking to the platform levels of Donkey Kong Country, looking for inspiration, Shag. By the way, I mentioned last stream that the plans are for now to do a bit of Mario Party on Thursday, and I haven't mentioned who that's with. You think that's cool, Shag, if I talk about who that's with? I didn't ask if that was cool with whoever it is. If whoever it is were to say right now that's cool, Shag says go to it. Okay, it's Shagalicious and Jayhawk are the two that have said that they're down for Thursday, and that'll be a bit of fun. Mario Party 2, and then you know, we need a fourth. I currently don't have a fourth. I've reached out to a couple of people. I haven't heard back from them yet. No one's opted in. If you want to go looking for a fourth, that'd be cool. Or we could just leave it open and, you know, honestly, you'll ask Glower. That'd be cool if Glower were down. Glower is a much bigger streamer than, you know, me or you, but I'm sure he likes Mario Party now and again. I was asking some other folks that are cool, you know. This is just a good example of what I showed earlier, you know, just a level where you board a platform, and enemies are just constantly trying to board your platform, and you have to deal with them because the platform is all you have. I noticed in there's a little case where you can leave the platform to get the buddy barrel a little earlier. Maybe we can build in areas like that where you're tempted to take risks and, you know, go off the beaten path. Not go off the beaten path. Leave the platform for a second, do a thing, and then come back, like, right away. And that'd be a little bit of fun, you know? And we mentioned springs earlier being a big part of it. It could easily be you have to jump off the platform onto a spring. And then a spring, you know, would even scroll the camera up a little bit, making it hard to tell where the platform is. Which would make it a little bit of a challenge to land back on it, considering that you might not be even able to see the platform at that point. So yeah, that'll be Thursday. I was thinking around 7 o'clock. I was also thinking of starting with, like, some mini games from... This one's not a... well, it is kind of a platform level, but more in the way that it's platforms moving up and down, so it's a little different. That said, I could totally have sections where platforms were moving up and down. Like, that would be maybe a good B mechanic to, like, B mechanic. I could have sections where up and down platforms to, like, break up the left-right platform sections. You know, where you're just riding a platform left and right. Maybe that would be cool as well. It takes a while for this to get to the part where it becomes remotely platform level-y. And here it is after the second half. By the way, I've said before that after a checkpoint, I always like to mix things up, you know, introduce new ideas. And I think, like, just about every Donkey Kong Country level is a great example of that. You know, like, you got all these vertically moving platforms here. They only start after the midway. You know, after the checkpoint. Before that, the level is very much about, like, ropes and shit. And after it, it sort of makes a big left turn. And I think such left turns make for levels that, you know, that go the distance, that keep things interesting. And, you know, if you're looking for the time to change what the level is about, after a checkpoint is maybe the best time because, you know, you can introduce a new mechanic, and if they die on it, they're not going back that far, you know. Not bad idea for, like, a alternate sort of thing. Most of the platform levels in this game are in the last world, which, honestly, I do wonder sometimes, like, were they just out of ideas and they just had to put a bunch of cave levels that were simple enough to figure out into this world? It was probably something like that, right? In this one, you have to get fuel to recharge your thing. In, like, a Mario Maker context, that could easily be something like, oh, you have to hit an on-off in order to continue on. You know, there's a bunch of Mario World levels that are like that. You know, obviously the forked dotted paths, the dotted rails, they sort of got their start there. They're not really used for that often in Mario Maker because, you know, there's other things that people want to do with on-off blocks other than make platform levels, which, I mean, I'll be honest, it's kind of an unpopular type of level, I think. You know, just for being kind of auto-scrolly. But a way, you know, I'll say, it's an auto-scroller in a way that is, like, intuitive, right? Like, I can see why I can't leave the platform, because there's not another platform for me to go to. Whereas some auto-scroller levels, there's no reason why you can't go past the screen other than that's where the screen ends, you know? And I like this a lot more. Also means that you can just have little challenges delivered to you where you have to avoid some guys and do a thing, and you have to do it while under a time pressure because if the platform gets away from you, that's it, you know? Again, with the bouncing on the platform, mixing up the gameplay. You know, we mentioned earlier we could put springs on the platform, and that'd be fun. And here in DKC, they do exactly that in multiple levels that we've looked at here. Multiple of them. I'm just gonna rewind. And yeah, you can have just a bunch of things in midair. They could easily be on rails, actually, if I wanted to just static stuff that wasn't booze. Booze would work for this. They're static and they don't move, but booze cannot be killed by Link. And I would kind of like, if I'm doing enemies like that, for you to be able to sword them, to be able to hit them with arrows, for you to be able to do all that business. Rewind. I think that would make most sense from a gameplay perspective. Misty Mine is not one. Manic Minces is not one either. Loopy Lights isn't one. The last platform level is Platform Perils in this game. This one is one where you have to, like, you get these platforms that move forward at a set pace, at a set speed. My battery is low. And it also comes with different directions. I did play around with a level that was similar than this. An idea for a level that was similar for this. Where you would get, like, POW blocks, and you would have to carry them, and use them to hit, like, you know, Koopalings, right? And because the POW block kills the Koopalings instantly, it would be pretty satisfying to do so, to just throw a POW block into them as you were riding on some platforms, similar to this. Ended up not going for it, though. You know, I could have saw it could have became like, if it had worked out, it might become like the boss level in the middle of the super world or something. But I ended up having better ideas. Which, you know, that happens. Sometimes you have better ideas and you gotta go with the best idea that you have. At least if you're making a super world. If you're not making a super world, and there's, you know, no limit to the amount of levels you can make beyond 100, then yeah, an idea like that can come back and you can do it. But, you know, right now I'm making a super world, so every level has to play a role, every level matters, and there's only going to be 40 of them in the whole thing, period. And also they have to match a theme, and also they have to, like, you know, keep in mind, like, where they are in the super world, like, which world, which, how far, etc. Let me see. Does DKC2 have any platform levels we can look at? I know Mario World has one or two. We could look at those as well. Not sure that Donkey Kong Country 2 has any, actually. I'm sort of curious, so let's just look through and see if we can find any. I mean, there's the rising floor level in the last world, the last real world. But I think that kind of is it. There's nothing in World 1. There's also Clobber Carnage, which I did note as like an inspiration, as like I wanted to look at. Hans Claim, Lava Lagoon, Red Hot Ride. Red Hot Ride is a little different. That's more of a... It's not a platform level. You control the platform entirely. I don't think that counts in my books, anyway. It also doesn't count if you're in a barrel. You know, if you're, like, steering a barrel around, that's not a platform level. If you're steering it, if you're controlling it, I don't think it quite qualifies in my books. As far as the genre of platform level goes. I don't think there are any, like, in that same style, any levels in DKC 2 that are like that, exactly. Ghostly Grove, Glade, Parachute Panic. Nope, none. None. The closest you get is, like, Clobber Carnage. And maybe, arguably, Castle Crush, but that's a whole different beast entirely, you know, a whole different thing. It's way different. Trying to think of the Lost World levels real fast. Nope. Just Clobber Carnage is the closest we'll get. We'll play Clobber Carnage real fast for reference because, like I said, that was one that I wanted to look at for example, for influence, for inspiration. That's right here, beyond Clubba's Carnage. Clubba's whatever the fuck. Kiosk, that's it. What else would be cool? So Clobber's Carnage, after the first half here. Actually, I think there are some segments here in the first half that are like what I'm thinking. Like right here, for instance. So you have these rotating barrels that you blast out of. And you have to go through these whole sections over pits. Now this isn't quite what I'm talking about because that's not really a platform level. That's just a barrel level where you can proceed at whatever pace you feel like. But this is just sort of setting up the second half here. Set up for the second half where it gets a little bit different. It gets a little bit more platform level adjacent. I guess, you know, I realized recently when I was looking at the DKC platform levels that, like, oh shit, you know, I never really thought of the platform levels as something that was specific to one game, but really, most of them are in Donkey Kong Country 1. And maybe Returns or Tropical Freeze as well, I'm not really sure on that front. But in this level, you can see here, you ride a barrel, and you have to, like, aim and shoot yourself to get around the bees. And you can see here that each of the barrels that you go to is only a temporary respite. You can only be there for a second before it would automatically fire you. So you sort of have to move fast, and the only place you can really relax is the platform. And that's basically the equivalent of like a blue plat in our, in like Mario Maker, right? Like if we were to build this with a bunch of blue plats, outside the, outside of like the main platforms, that would be how it would go. It's quite tense and harrowing. I'm just gonna rewind. Like I said, I'm just here to look at the levels and think about how they do. And I will note here, one thing that is worth noting is it doesn't start out with a platform level. It does the first half that's not a platform level, and the second half it gets into like a platform level, and it's actually more intense as a result because, you know, you are no longer like allowed to set your own pace. You have to like, the level pushes you forward now at that point. It ends up being actually more intense rather than less intense. Which is something we could definitely do with this level that we're making. It could end up being more intense as it goes, just by virtue of the fact that you're on now a thing. In fact, if we wanted, you know, my current idea is to have it so that the subworld is both in the first half and the second half, and the sun is in both parts. The sun could just be in one part, and then you would have like 5 or 6 times where the sun crossed your path, even without adding any stops or anything. And that could work out. That could be interesting. You know, I do think it's neat, the idea of like returning to the same area and like going first right and then left. And that's very Zelda too, like opening up a path in a room you've been to before. That's very Zelda, but there are other ways to go to do it. Oh, my nose is really irritable today. Let me see, as far as DKC3 goes, if there's any platform levels. First world, no, not really. Second world, the Nids, Spring Spiders, that's not really that close. There's Rocket Barrel. There's Rocket Barrel, whatever it's called. It's a little different, though. Rocket Barrel Ride. That's a little bit different. Tracking Barrel Trek is adjacent. I don't think there's anything really to draw from there. I don't think there's any platform levels in... There's the Saw level, which is sort of a auto-scroller going up, but it's not really what we're looking for. So too in Krematoa. I think not quite. There's the level where there's like platforms falling from the waterfall in K3. And in Razor Ridge. No, I don't think so. I don't think anything. I don't think DKSC3 has that much that we can learn here. I could look at Super Mario World as well, but let's see. Are there any Super Mario World levels that are relevant? Well, there is the classic one, right? The one where you hit on-off switch to proceed. That's like the whole reason there is the dotted track, is that... Is it Donut Plains 4? No, I don't think so. No, it's not this. It's, maybe 3? The levels in Super Mario World, obviously they don't have names, so... So you have to, like, remember them just by number, I guess. I don't think I have them quite down pat. Is this the one with the on-off platforms that change the route? Yes, it is. Okay. So you could have something like this where, you know, to continue it, you have to hit the on-off blocks. And that is a very simple way to do what basically is, you know, if you don't hit it, you die, etc., etc. Very much like some of the tanked up trouble. Like tanked up trouble from DKC. Basically. Very simple level, too. I'll say the levels in Mario World, they're a lot simpler than, and like less involved, I think, as far as like mechanics that get introduced, enemies, etc., compared to like DKC levels. I guess part of that is that there's a lot more of them in the game versus DKC levels tend to be a little longer, and there's fewer of them in the whole game. You know, I wouldn't mind doing a level like that. I feel like that is kind of a hole in my Mario Maker offering, which is to say a level where you have a thing on a track, and you have to hit the on-off. I wouldn't mind making a level like this, and maybe the overworld will be like this. Just literally, you know, on-offs. One track leads to death, the other track leads to life, and have that be what the overworld is all about. All about the on-offs hitting them and either dying or not based on whether you do or not. The only thing about that is it sounds like it's more perilous than the subworld, which would probably be like the second half of the level. You know, so does that make sense? A lot to think about here. Let's go back to Mario Maker. Let's go back to Mario Maker now, and we're gonna try out some of the things that we thought of through the rest of the looking around, looking for inspiration. You know, both in Mario Maker 1, the previous levels from 2, and as well as a little bit of Donkey Kong Country and Mario World. There are a bunch of places I wanted to look for inspiration. I try to do this sometimes when I got a level like this where I don't know where to go, is I try to look for levels that are like in the right vein, in the right ballpark. Did I save the messing around before leaving Mario Maker last time, before closing it? Oh, I might not have done. Whoops, I didn't. Oh well. The making that was done in the first half of the stream is wiped out, gone. Okay, shit. Well, I can reference the video or whatever to remake that stuff later to try it back out. Whoops. Ah, that happens. Whoopsie daisy. Sometimes that happens, you know, you switch games and then you forget to, you know, do a thing. Let's see, let's put a bunch of springs on this and see how that feels. Can you do, like, weird stuff with the sword on the springs? Like, can you make the springs jump by sorting them or something? So yeah, here's that one idea that we had. Oh, this also makes anything that lands on it. Yikes! Okay, one thought here. If I put these chain chomps, if they fall into lava, because the kill zone for the sun is like here, so I can't like make it higher here. And adding the spring makes it a little too high for the sun to hit you. Yeah, so I would have to, like, actually kill them with my bombs. Which isn't that hard to do, actually, since they're dropping into lava, so just do as so. This is a very expensive platform. I think it's worth it. Ooh, I kind of like it. I kind of like the look of it, actually. It has a very unique vibe, if that makes sense. Oh, that's kind of weird. The sword fell into the water, into the lava, and it's now following us. Eee! Oh, I kind of like this. This is good. If you just do a small bounce, can you small bounce over the thing? Over the sun? Yes, you can! that's kind of fun. There could totally be parts where you have to go like under some shit, and it can be timed up where the sun is going by at the same second, and then you have to like you know, not do a big jump but still get over the sun. And again, since there's like a lot of clearance here, since you're starting out as you can only get so high in this. Also, another thing about this, any enemy that lands on the spring is gonna bounce like a real nuisance. It's gonna be a real problem. That's pretty good. And you can see here the problem with, you know, using the sun in an end level where it's not just constrained to this part of the level, which is that the sun isn't really a threat if you're not at ground level. And we can have multiple platforms here. We can have one that is like above the lava, one that is below. You know, there can be a place where you have to like jump from one to the next. And even ones that don't necessarily have the same, same setup. Also, I can probably remove some of these bombs. You know, a couple of them are probably going to kill their neighbors. But yeah, there could totally be places where you have to, like, jump from one to the next. Like, as such. Throw in some, like I was saying, like, maybe some enemies on rails would be good, because then they could be set up such that, you know, you can still kill them as Link, but they're dangerous. And they're static, so you have to dodge them. What can you kill as Link, but are still dangerous? Can kill as Link, still dangerous. What about fire cheeps? Just do something like this where they're like, they start off in the lava, so they're sort of boosted out of it real quick, and then they can be at whatever level you please, you know? They can be high, they can be low. I've done this in a previous level in the Super World. You know, had Cheep Cheeps on rails that start off in the lava so that they are on fire. And they're an enemy that can be killed by like some things, but not other things, like fire flowers. They're immune to those, but jumping, they're immune. Are they immune to fire flowers? I forget, but they're immune to jumping, but not to some other things. Like, I forget what the example is. That kind of makes it difficult to get over it now. On a spring, you know? These guys are far away. Oh, also, you know what? Move these guys closer. Make this a normal. And let's add some nice theming. Real quick. Just some pillars and shit coming out of the muck, of the lava. And let's try adding another Goomba formation here. Just a bunch of Goombas falling from the sky. Let's see now. What else can we try? Fishbones are not a bad foe. You can jump on them. Let me try a bunch of fishbones here. But they're immune to other things other than jumping. I think actually they might be immune to some Link stuff like arrows or whatever. Maybe they're not the best fit for this. Maybe something that was not immune to arrows would be ideal. Honestly. Okay. Try this out. So, need something first to... Oh, shit! That happened so fast. Make that a shorter platform. Just for shits and giggles, you know, just for the sake of trying it out. Okay, try this all out. Oh, also, by the way, let me see. Can Spike Helmet kill this sun? No. No, it cannot. Okay, cool. We'll go with the Spike Helmet then. It works well with Link. The other Link level I did, I used it. Whoa, what the fuck? What in the hell was that? Now that was all manner of wrong. Because they all spawned in weird. They all spawned in at, like, the wrong time, so... It ended up being all manner of weird. Okay, so we can't do a setup like that midway in without some sort of doorway or something that like, resets. And we can't do that without losing the sun, so... We're probably gonna have to go with one platform for the whole under area. That's more enemies real fast. Also enemies that, like, go away and don't return. Only one time they actually do a thing. And we'll do that by having, like, similar to Thrift Rift from Thrift Lift from my my Mario Maker 1. And since these guys will they'll land on this and then they'll jump up once. Does this work? Not sure if this will work. Well, it's hard to say because... No, they don't have enough time to actually like, jump off it with this design. Let's make it a slow thing, then. This one... Some of them did, some of them didn't. Make this one higher, and there we go. Wait, does that one fall onto the platform? That one looked like it was about to fall onto my platform. Yeah. That's kind of funny. I kind of like... If there's ways to drop piranha plants onto the platform, I think that would be cool. Add a couple more pillars and shit. Could that be done? Could be controlled by on-offs, like you pass a certain point, and some let's just assume that on-offs aren't being used for the let's just assume that on-offs are not gonna be for the thing, not for the let's assume that on-offs aren't going to be used for the treadmills underneath the platform. Just have it so that the on-offs are used to like trigger them falling down. Then you could have something like this where once you pass under it like so, other way, a thwomp drops these guys onto your head. Where's the thwomp? Here. Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Those guys... No, that's terrible. That didn't work. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but it's not like this. Let's just keep that in mind. Let's just leave one of them, like, right here. We'll put the... have it be on a... like this. Okay, gotta move this. Put a piranha plant there. A jumping one, please. Put that there, put the thing there, and go.
Let's go.
And he jumps up, and he lands on it, so if you want to avoid it, it's possible. The trick is to time it so that it's jumping in a case where you're not, like, it's not the first thing on the screen. Right, like, in case like this. It's gonna be a difficult thing. I'm gonna add a couple more lengths of treadmill here. And we'll do a couple more experiments, and then I'll call it. This has been quite a long stream for a Sunday. You know, but I wanted to start work on this level, and I also wanted to do a little bit of anime top 25 stuff, which was at the top of this here stream. Hopefully was fun. What about icicles? Maybe there should be a case where you have to, like, dodge icicles or something while staying on the moving platform somehow. I'll just put a bunch of them here in this part that doesn't have anything yet. And we'll see how the fuck you can deal with that. Like, would you want to just, like, get below something, like... But you have a shellmet, so... I mean, you do have a shellmet, so they're not going to be that threatening, actually. Try some bullet bills. The thing about the bullet bills is it's going to be hard to get rid of them. They could be... You know what they could be? They could be, like, on rails and, like... First they descend into the arena and, like, shoot a thing, and then they ascend outwards and just, you know, fuck off. In other words. Try, one... Let's try a red one, specifically. So it's, like, a little bit homing. Try a... one that's at a higher height. Start with. Anything last to try out? Let's just try out a few random more things. Fire things. These could be timed really tightly because it's sort of a little bit, you know, the speed at which, unless I add brakes where you have to hit it on-off before proceeding, we'll know when these are supposed to be on and when these are supposed to be off, so we can easily build around those timings. The other thing is worth considering would be something of a fire bar. Them a little bit above. Maybe like switch them up as far as like which one goes in which direction. Other things. More lengths of track here. Other things to try. Swinging claws. I could easily... You know, if we're just looking for ways to drop enemies onto the track, a swinging claw might be actually quite an elegant solution. Because those things literally release enemies when you're right under them. You know what? Now that I say that, that makes like the most sense of anything we've said tonight. That's actually perfectly sensible, and also you could easily like shoot these things from the raft as you know, with Link, and that could work. Okay, let's run through one more time, see how this feels. Okay, you got these. That felt kind of cool, actually. You know, the icicles sort of provided a ceiling that fell as you went forward, and at no point were they actually like in the way. Ah! Wait, what the hell? Oh! Oh, the thwomp, it took the springs off. It took the springs off, the thwomp did. Okay, well, nothing can be in the spring zone, okay? Anything in the spring zone can fuck up the timing of it. You know. I like how you know, because I was standing on something tall, it was just barely out of you couldn't see it. You couldn't see where the raft was. That's kind of fun. It kind of makes it a little bit of a challenge, you know? And another one like right here. You know what? I'll add another one right here, and I'll also add one that's on a... You know what? Just do a swing claw one. See how that works. It'd be good if you could not get into the swinging claw, because that'd be weird for Link. Though I think with the height that you can jump right now... Yeah, you can totally get into it. Is there a way to have it so that it's high enough where you can't jump into it, but still visible on screen? I think so. That'd do. Try this again. Those bullet bills actually end up being kind of cool. They end up being platforms because they're not really fast enough to get out of the way before the platform comes. But I think that almost works. I think that's cool. Whoops, didn't mean to go outside. I don't actually have a pipe set up to the inside area, so... I'm gonna run through this whole area that we've just sort of freestyled out one more time. And we're gonna think about what we've done here. It's kind of tough because, you know, the moving platform is where it is, the sun is where it is. So if I die, I just have to restart. I guess that is a thing to consider. Probably don't want this to be the toughest thing in the world. I mean, it is in the bonus world, so it's allowed to be a little bit tough. You know, it's in the last world, the finale. It's allowed to be somewhat tough, but... This, where even I, as the one who put it together, struggles to get through it all in one run. Kind of feels a little unforgiving. Mostly because it is literally unforgiving. I mean, you just have the power. If you lose your link, that's it. And also, if you fall into lava, that's also it.
Let's go.
Yikes. Oh wow, you can totally finagle it a bit and land outside of the springs.
Let's go.
Land on the platform below the springs. That's not really a big issue. If you can do that without dying, more power to you. Yikes. You know what? In particular, this part is very poorly timed. The level, if we can like, if we know like when the sun is gonna roll through, you know, every now and again, we can design a level in such a way that you know, good things are happening, such that when it goes to do its pass, you're in just the right spot for it to be interesting, without it being way too hard.
Let's go.
Some of these passes, they are not really set up that well right now, but hey, we're getting good information. Ooh, that was... Yikes! Because now we're on springs, these swamps, they're a little bit weird, a little bit hard to deal with. Oh, also these... The fire should probably be pointed the other way, shouldn't it? Whatever, close enough. That's good. If the fire was pointed up like this, that would be interesting, I think. If you had to, like, wait a little bit for this to turn, and then jump from there to there, and then jump to the raft as it's, you know, just about to leave. That seems like a good way to do it. I'm gonna save, which I didn't do the first time. Sorry about that. Whatever. Go back to the overworld now. Like I said, I am thinking for the overworld, maybe we could do some stuff with, we could do that classic Mario World thing of just, you know, having the moving platform have a fork like this, and have it so that if you don't hit the thing, you die, and if you do hit the thing, you live. You know, that's just the classic thing that I've never done, really, in one of my levels. And I don't know, maybe it'd be a good thing to implement and build around. I don't know if that's super interesting, but it's a thought. And of course, with Link, you have multiple additional options to hit on-offs, like your bows and arrows, and your sword. Kind of slow, this moving platform. Probably slower than the treadmills are, relatively, in the subworld. I think the way that you know what I think how this will work? Maybe the first half will be a not auto-scroller, mostly not an auto-scroller, and then the second half, it is a bouncy auto-scroller where you have the springs and you have no choice but to use them. Maybe the first half should be more focused on spring stuff than anything else. And also, you know what? One thing we didn't consider. You know what? A very simple way to rack up the tension here Just have like a wall of red here, and have an on-off here that you have to hit. And you can hit that with, you know, bows and arrows, or, you know, if there's like a blue plaid under it or something. That would be cool too. You know, you jump off and then you hit the on-off and then you can proceed. I'm gonna try this on for size one last time here. And then we'll call it. I don't really have that many ideas so far for the second half, but whatever. Or for the outside parts. I'm not really sure like what direction we're gonna go for that in. What it'll be like more auto-scrollery, or something else. Again, the top. This guy's gotta go. I think that's gonna do it for today. A little bit of a making stream, a little bit of an anime ranking stream for the first hour. I think the development for this level is good and kicked off. Like with any initial prototyping and initial brainstorm session, I don't know that we have anything that's really like for sure gonna be in the level yet. Though I do really like the idea of having these springs, having it be a spring moving platform that you're going on. That seems really exciting. Though we could have it so that there's a hole in the middle of them, actually. Oh, the only thing about that is it really makes it weird. You can do some really weird business with if that's the thing. And those things, they fall into the lava, then you can still jump on them. That's weird. Maybe instead it could be like springs at the side so that that sort of cheese, you can't actually get down there to the side. Yeah, that's probably more the thing. And then you can land if you want to, but you know, most of it will be, mostly you'll be using the springs probably to full advantage of it. Yeah, I like this. One more time. Forgot. And I could easily put this whole assembly, like the pegs and the springs, on a moving platform outside as well. But maybe like not in the context of a moving. It doesn't have to be part of a whole platform level, just like a small moving platform within a regular ass platforming segment. Oh, and by the way, it is true that you could screw it up still by, like, doing like that, and then doing like that, and that'd be weird. But what can I do? There's kind of no way of stopping that, just as there's no way to stop someone from, like, very well doing a very... Oh! Okay, the track ran out. There's nothing to stop someone from just, like, timing a bomb to hit the sun, you know? Or, like, you know, as the sun passes, throwing a bomb into the lava and the lava taking out, exploding the bomb and maybe hitting the sun at the same time. You could use some skill here to do some janked up stuff. I'm gonna save. Folks, that's gonna do it for today. Kind of intended this to be just a shorter stream, but you know, I ended up wanting to go look for inspiration. The anime list ended up being taking a little longer than maybe I suspected. And also, I ended up wanting to look at some inspiration for this level, and I'm glad we did, because that gave us perhaps some of the most interesting ideas that this level is playing with so far anyway. go ahead and see who's online, and I'll tell you. Oh, QASXZ is doing viewer levels. That's nice. Giant Bomb is doing some sort of something at DreamHack. Let me look. It looks like there's Mario Maker over on the whatever Giant Bomb is doing right now. Is that Mario Maker? What are they doing? Well, there's definitely Mario Maker over there on their DreamHack special event thing. I want to see what they're doing over there. Oh, I also followed Marcel Voss on Twitch since the last stream. I could raid him. He's like a really cool Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 guy right now, if I pleased. I'm kind of interested to see what this Giant Bomb thing is, and it looks like Mario Maker is involved somehow. Maybe they're watching like old videos of Mario Maker 1 stuff that they did. Maybe they're trying out something or other. That's, I think, where I'm going to send the raid. I'm sure they don't do an alert for... I'm not even sure they do alerts on the Giant Bomb channel for like raids, and certainly, you know, they're probably recording some sort of something, some sort of podcast. They're probably not going to mention it, but it's either going to be that or, you know, I usually don't stream on Sunday mornings, so it's more Sunday afternoons now, really. So let's go with Giant Bomb. You know, really like Giant Bomb a lot. They've been doing a bunch of stuff this weekend with DreamHack or whatever that seems cool. Let's just go over there and check out what's up. I'll be back tomorrow for Pikmin 1, 2, and 3 Deluxe, switching all at once, switching between them every 3 in-game days. We'll be starting from Pikmin 2 on the 4th day, so the second cycle of Pikmin 2, the second round of Pikmin 2, and we'll go from there, probably hitting up, you know, at least one round, maybe a round and a half or so. At least going around the horn once, and then maybe Pikmin 2 again, maybe Pikmin 3 again. We'll see. I think that'll be fun. That'll be tomorrow. And then if you're looking for some other plans that are coming up soon, I'm going to do a stream with Shag and maybe some others. We'll see about who else is down for that. On next Thursday around 6 p.m. Central. We'll be checking out Pokemon Stadium and then doing some multiplayer after that. Probably some Pokemon Stadium minigames first, and then some Mario Party, like a round of that. That'll be fun. And then viewer levels will be on Friday, as usual. Thank y'all for coming by, watching me do this thing, whether you watch the anime or the Mario making, or looking for inspiration in other games. I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central. Bye, folks.